Alita and Gilbert Garza are suing 21-year-old student Elaine Palacios for damage to their Dodge Ram, impound charges, and a new tire. Elaine says her cousin Jessica Ortiz gave her permission to drive it.
All rise. Yeah, this is case number 586 on the calendar in the matter of Garza versus Palacios. You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Mr. and Mrs. Garza, is this your granddaughter?
Yes, ma'am.
Step up, please. Who's going to speak? Then you can sit. I know that you're going to be very happy. I'm going to let you sit down.
Thank you.
See how happy he is? Look, he says, I'm off the hook. I'm sitting down. Nobody's going to ask me a question. I can sit here and relax. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Mrs. Garza, you are the owner of an automobile.
Yes, ma'am.
And you allowed your granddaughter to borrow your automobile. Mm-hmm. And when you got your automobile back, it was severely damaged. And it is your claim that that's as a result of this young lady driving the car while intoxicated and having a couple of accidents, causing the car to be impounded. You want her to pay for the damage.
Right.
But you have no first-hand knowledge of this other than the fact that you gave permission to your granddaughter
to use the truck.
To use the car.
It's a truck.
It's a truck? What kind of a truck is it?
It's a Dodge Ram.
And when did you give your granddaughter permission to use it?
On the 13th of August.
Had she had possession of the car? Was she regularly driving the car?
She lives with us, so she runs errands and she does her thing in the car. Yeah.
I see. Do you want to sit down next to your husband? Because now I've answered the questions that I have except for the damages and what they...
Oh, okay.
So why don't you sit down next to your husband? What's your first name?
Jessica.
How old are you?
I'm 19.
Do you work?
No, I don't.
What do you do?
I'm a student.
You said that... I'm a student. Where are you a student?
I'm going to a GED program right now.
When did you start?
I've been there for a few months already.
What did you do before that?
I just was at home.
Who else lives in your grandparents' house other than you?
My son.
So that's what you were doing. How old is your son?
He's 4.
Your grandmother let you borrow the truck on August 13th to do what?
I was just going to use it, go out.
Where was your son?
He was at home with my grandparents.
You were going to use it to go out where?
To go party.
What time?
I'm not sure what time it was.
Give me an approximation.
It was probably 7 in the afternoon.
7 o'clock is usually referred to as the evening.
Oh, in the evening, I'm sorry.
How did she get possession of the truck?
I went to go pick her up.
She a friend of yours?
She's my cousin.
Where were you going?
To another friend's house.
For what?
Just to go hang out.
Name of the friend.
I don't know.
Hard questions are going to follow. These are easy questions.
Well, we went to go pick up Andrew at his friend's house, and that's where it was at. That's where we were at.
Andrew. Who is he? I know that that's who you are, but who are you?
Oh, he's
related to your friend? Your
yeah,
boyfriend?
he's just a friend.
Okay, so in the early evening, Jessica gets in the truck, leaves her 4-year-old responsibility with her grandparents, which I assume is the standard operating procedure in the house, so she could go hang out and have a party. She picks you up. How did you get possession of the truck?
My understanding, it was about like 6 o'clock in the morning.
6 o'clock? How did we get from 7 o'clock at night to 6 o'clock in the morning?
I don't know. Time just flew by, and by the time we knew it, it was 6 o'clock in the morning.
How old are you?
I'm 21 now.
What do you do?
I'm a customer service representative.
So you're employed?
Yes.
Thank God for small favors. What about you? Do you work?
Yes.
So before you know it, it got to be 6 o'clock in the morning. Where were you at 6 o'clock in the morning?
We were going to...
No, you, not we. You.
I was in the truck.
You were in the truck at 6 o'clock in the morning. Where was your son?
He was at home.
So you were in the truck at 6 o'clock in the morning, and how did Elaine get possession of the truck? Jessica?
Because we were going to stay the night at my parents' house, and...
The night was over at 6 o'clock in the morning. I know you have a trouble with that, but it's 6 o'clock in the morning. Now it's morning.
We were going to my parents' house. And they had asked to borrow the car to go to the store, and the store's just down the street from my parents' house, and I let them borrow it. Told them to come back, and...
They never came back?
They never came back.
Is that what happened?
That's what happened.
Well, when she got out of the truck, who got in the driver's seat?
I believe I did. Well, yeah. My understanding, let me put it that way. Because it's, I mean, the night, it's a big blur to me. It really is.
Did you just say the night is a big blur to me?
Yes. I don't really remember a lot of what happened.
What about you, Andrew? Do you remember what happened?
A little bit of it.
Well, you want to stand up here and tell me what you remember.
After we used the truck, we went to my grandmother's work to pick up some money for gas.
What'd you need more gas for?
Because I was going to go pick up some clothes from my mom's house.
Okay, so you're on your way to your mom's house. You've dropped her off. Two of you who have a marginal recollection of what happened on that morning because you were both what?
Intoxicated.
What about her? Was she intoxicated?
Yes.
Is that right?
No, ma'am, I wasn't.
Had you been drinking?
A little bit.
The car was in how many accidents that morning?
2.
Tell me about them. Who's going to remember to tell me about them?
A car had backed up into us at 8-pack. And after that, we had left. Because the police came, they let us go because it was on private property. And we were heading to my mom's house, and that's what happened when we wrecked.
Now, slowly tell me what happened when you were going to your mom's house.
Well, when I was going to my mom's house, I went to under the mall where we parked cars. I went on the very bottom. And then there was
Who was driving?
Me.
Who was driving when the first accident happened?
I was.
What was she doing?
She couldn't drive. She was drunk. I was.
Well, what about you?
I wasn't as intoxicated as her, but I was just...
Yes, he was.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You made a mistake, you had a baby. You visited that on your grandparents. And it would seem to me that what you're supposed to do is make their life as simple as possible, not more complicated.
And later today,
they're on little mini bikes and skateboards, and I've actually seen them blocking traffic.
Who does that?
My friends.
Is he one of your friends?
Yes, ma'am.
Who was out there that day?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 19-year-old Jessica Ortiz says during a night of heavy drinking, her cousin, Elaine Palacios, crashed her grandparents' truck. Elaine says Jessica should also be held responsible.
When she got out of the car, she was driving.
Yes.
So she loaned the car to Elaine.
Yes.
How did you get in a position to be in the driver's seat?
She had asked me to drive.
When? At what point?
A couple hours after we used the truck.
Well, weren't you supposed to go to the store and come right back?
Yes.
So why didn't you?
I don't know.
Sit down. All right, let's move on. This truck was impounded. The truck had a lot of damage. It's your position, Elaine.
Yes.
That it's her fault for letting you take the car because you were drunk.
Not fully, but I don't think that I should be held responsible for the whole damages to the truck alone.
Who should be?
I think that me, Jessica, and Andrew should be held responsible for it.
Well, she didn't sue Andrew.
Right.
So you would say that between the two of you, she's also responsible because she let you take the car knowing that you had been drinking.
Yes.
I agree with you. All right, Miss Garza, could you step up, please, and let me see the bills?
Yes, ma'am. You know, the insurance did pay us $5,000 on the truck. The truck in the blue book, it's worth $8,000 and some $100. Her mom did pay.
Shh, just a second. Okay, let me work out some numbers here. Do you still have the truck?
No, ma'am, the insurance took it.
And what you're telling me is the blue book value on the car was about $8,000. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh. Ms. Garza, I believe your granddaughter is partially responsible for what happened on that day. I believe she is at least 1/3 responsible, which means that Elaine here would be responsible for $2,000. Now, Elaine is perfectly capable of going to court and suing Andrew for half. I'm not dealing with that now. But your granddaughter exercised very poor judgment.
Yes, ma'am.
So the Case is easy, but I have a couple of questions for Miss Attitude over here. How long has she been living with you with her 4-year-old son?
Since before the 4-year-old son. She's lived with me on and off all her life.
But there was a period of time she didn't live with you.
Right.
That's when she became pregnant?
Right.
When she became pregnant, she moved back in with you before he was born?
When he was about 3 months old.
Where was she living before that?
With her, the father of the baby. But my husband went and got her.
Does the father have anything to do with the child?
He sees him, but does not support him.
So you have two winners. You have two parents who don't support their child, the mother and the father.
Right.
And this one goes out and parties. Let me tell you something, Jessica. You better grow up. You made a mistake, you had a baby. You visited that on your grandparents, who at a time in their life are supposed to be just enjoying each other and relaxing, have been burdened with a responsibility because of your stupidity. And it would seem to me that what you're supposed to do is make their life as simple as possible, not more complicated. And going out at 7 o'clock at night and coming home 6 o'clock in the morning is not what a responsible mother does. Do I make myself clear? Perfect. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I was going to pay for it, and when it came down to it, the plaintiff wasn't cooperative, so therefore we came here to Judge Judy.
The truck had the A-frame was damaged. There was no fixing it.
I feel bad because they always bring it up and throw it in my face.
We had to go pick it up, and there was whiskey bottles and beer bottles.
The police were involved twice, and actually the second time is when we actually got arrested.
They could have had an accident and gotten killed, or God only knows, kill somebody else.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Pender versus Garrison. Step forward, please.
Engineer David Pender is suing children's services worker Joan Garrison for the cost of medical bills. David claims Joan's poodle bit his 14-year-old son, Edward, while he was skateboarding.
Mr. Pender, which one of these two boys was bitten by the defendant's dog?
My son, Edward Pender.
All right, why don't you sit down? How old are you, Edward?
14.
Who were you out skateboarding with?
My friend Alex Berkemeyer, Mike, and my two friends, Ricky.
You always skateboard with them?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you skateboarding on the sidewalk or in the street?
Sidewalk.
How many of you were in the sidewalk?
One, just me.
Why were you on the sidewalk? Tom is not an answer.
Seemed like the right thing to do, Your Honor. It seemed
I
like
don't
the right
understand what
thing
you mean.
to
It
do.
seemed like the right thing to do. What were you doing on the sidewalk?
I was skateboarding.
Had you been in the street with your friends?
No, ma'am.
So what happened when you passed Mrs. Garrison, who was walking with her two dogs who were on leashes?
I have my skateboard if you would like me to demonstrate for you, Your Honor.
No, I wouldn't. I want you to use your words.
I was riding past her, and then I was swinging my left hand. And
How were you
then,
swinging your left hand?
like this, moving it back and forth, and then her dog bit me whenever it was about at my hip, Your Honor.
Now, were you on a hill?
No, ma'am.
Now, when you were going down this street, did you see the defendant and her two dogs?
It was a while until I saw her.
How far away was she from where you were skateboarding?
About 5 feet, ma'am.
When you first saw her?
Yes, ma'am.
You mean she just appeared out of nowhere? Or you weren't looking?
I wasn't looking, ma'am.
And I assume that when you drive down the sidewalk on the skateboard, the reason you do this arm movement is to get more leverage, isn't that right?
Yes, ma'am.
So you can go
faster.
So you're going faster, and you're not looking where you're going, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And when you passed by Miss Garrison, how close did you come to her?
About 1 foot.
And she had how many dogs with her?
2.
How big were they?
Probably about this high.
So there's you going too fast, not looking where you're going on the skateboard, and Miss Garrison walking with her 2 standard-sized poodles?
Correct, Your Honor.
How wide is the sidewalk?
Probably about 3 feet.
That's not very wide. Now, if you had been looking where you were going and weren't going so fast, and if you had seen her walking with her 2 dogs that were on a leash, what would you have done?
Probably just kept on going, ma'am.
Well, that would have been very stupid of you, Mr. Pender. You think that you frightened her?
Yes, ma'am.
You have no right to do that. All right, Miss Garrison, now I'm finished with him. Temporarily.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Because we know what happened. Right, Mr. Pender?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you've got your two standard poodles walking with them. They're on leashes. What do you see?
I was walking along the sidewalk, and actually I've seen this group of kids several times before in my neighborhood where I'm walking. They're on little mini bikes and skateboards, and they actually will, they aren't on the sidewalk, they're in the street, and they will stay in the street, and I've actually seen them blocking traffic. On this particular...
Who does that?
Not me, Your Honor.
Who?
My friends.
That's not nice. Is he one of your friends?
Yes, ma'am.
Who was out there that day?
No, ma'am.
Oh, he's just here just because he wants to come to court?
No, ma'am.
What's he here for?
He was there because he was the one that was helping me, trying to get her. Because she wouldn't stop whenever I was calling her.
Now listen to me, sir. Was he with you that day on his skateboard?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, it's either yes or no. 2 seconds ago it was no, now it's yes. So he was on his skateboard.
Yes, ma'am.
So he was one of the kids that, according to you, was in the street because you were the only one on the sidewalk.
Yes, ma'am.
So he's one of the people that she's talking about, according to you, that was in the street that day blocking traffic.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm walking my dogs, and I see them coming down the hill, and this young man decided to leave the street and ride off, and I actually have pictures of the area. And you can't see, but he took a drive. He got out of the street through a driveway and basically rode his skateboard right into me.
Okay. So he was riding in the street with his friends?
Yes, he was.
No question in your mind?
No.
And then at some point, he went up through a driveway and decided to come down on the sidewalk.
Correct.
And he got bitten because your dog was frightened.
I didn't know what was happening. I was concerned. I've seen these kids before.
Got bitten on the hand? Where were you bitten?
On my left hand, Your Honor.
Your Honor, he showed me his elbow. And
I don't care whether he showed you his elbow or he showed you his hand. Whose fault was it?
Hers, Your Honor.
You're supposed to be smarter than a poodle. I am sure your father raised you in the hopes that you would be smarter than a poodle.
That's right.
So if you frightened her poodle because you were doing the wrong thing, that's your fault. The poodle wasn't chasing you down the street, was it?
No, ma'am.
Huh?
No, ma'am.
That's what happens when you do the wrong thing, Mr. Pender. You do the wrong thing, sometimes bad things happen to you. And you got bitten. Just because you got bitten doesn't mean it's her fault. You and I know exactly what happened that day.
That's right.
All right. Anything you want to say to me, sir?
No, ma'am.
Perfect. Case dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Yeah, this is case number 578 on the calendar in the matter of Cabanero versus Taru.
Thank you.
Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Mr. Cabanero, Miss Taru was formerly your girlfriend.
Yes.
You have a child together.
Correct.
How old is that child?
7 years old.
A little girl.
Yes.
And you have an order of visitation with the child.
Yes.
You are currently married, I assume, to this lady.
Yes.
And you have 1 or 2 children?
I have 2 children and 1 on the way.
According to your complaint, during a scheduled visitation, you noticed that your daughter had a recurrence of a severe eczema problem that she suffers from.
Yes.
You tried to contact her mother. Her mother had turned off her cell phone. So you contacted the child's grandmother,
Correct.
Miss Taru's mother, and you told her that you were planning on taking the child to the doctor.
Yes, ma'am.
Then you went to work.
That's correct.
Miss Taru became upset that you planned to take the child to the doctor. She came to your home when your wife was at home, and according to you, broke your security door.
Yes.
Ms. Taru says you owe her over $4,000 in child support, so what are you complaining about?
The child support's getting taken out of my check. My check's getting garnished every week.
What is the child support order that you have for your daughter?
It's, I believe it's $400 something a month.
How much is this child support order?
$214.
$214 a month.
Correct. He does have another child, is the reason that they take more than just my amount out. He has another child with a mother that also garnishes wages out of his check.
Is that right?
Yes.
You got a lot of children, Mr. Cabanero. You must be very rich.
With children, yeah.
Those are your riches, sir. But sometimes you have to think with this. Do you understand?
Yes.
Now you can stand up. Your name is Mrs. Cabanero, and you tell me, Mrs. Cabanero, what happened when Miss Teru came to your house?
Lena made arrangements with my mother-in-law for the daughter to come over for the weekend on February 11th. And after dinner, I decided to give her a bath. When I got her ready for her bath, I saw that she had whelps on her from her eczema, and she had sores on her arms, all over her chest, thighs, and both eyes, and it was fully all over her body. And when I did give her a lukewarm bath, she did cry that it did hurt her skin.
How long has your daughter suffered from eczema?
Since she was born, Your Honor, since she was 6 days old.
When was the last time prior to February 11th that the child had seen a physician?
On January 31st.
When had it become so exacerbated to cause concern to the police officer who came and saw the child?
It's always been that way, Your Honor. I have a letter from her doctor.
I'd like to see the letter from her doctor.
I got pictures of it also.
I'd like to see the photograph.
Can I mention that it's hereditary, and my sister also suffers the severe disease as well and has the same exact symptoms, and she's 24 years old, Your Honor.
And that was just recent pictures.
I have a couple of questions for you.
Sure.
This letter from the doctor, which you furnished me.
Correct.
Says that you told the doctor that Alexa, that's your daughter,
correct,
was found with her stepsister involved in sexual play.
Correct.
How old is that child?
At that time, she was 2 years old.
And how old was your daughter?
I want to say 5.
So they're baby playing.
Correct.
All right. What I need, because he says that he couldn't get this eczema under control, so he sent you to a dermatologist.
Yes.
Doctor. I'd like to see a report is when you last took the child to see Dr.
I don't have a statement.
Well,
with
when
me.
prior to February 11th had the child seen Dr.
The beginning of January.
This is too serious a condition, madam, to wait 6 weeks.
No, Your Honor, I have several medications that my daughter is on that I use on a typical basis.
Did the police officer who responded that day tell you better take this child immediately to the doctor?
No, she suggested that I take her to the doctor, or she would have, well, yes, actually, yes, you're right, correct. Or that she would call an ambulance and have her.
You're absolutely right, because the police officer who responded that day viewed this situation as critical enough to say, unless you guarantee me that you're going to take the child immediately to the doctor, she's taking the child by ambulance to the hospital.
Correct.
So when did you take the child to the dermatologist?
Oh, I didn't take her to the dermatologist, Your Honor. I took her to the regular doctor because it was a Saturday.
When did you take her to the dermatologist?
She hasn't been, Your Honor.
That's neglect.
I have no medical coverage right now, Your Honor.
I don't care what you have to do to get enough money to take your child to the dermatologist. Your doctor, in a letter that you gave me, madam, from your doctor, the doctor says, this problem is so serious and so intractable that I cannot treat the child. Correct. So I referred her to a dermatologist, which you didn't take her to.
He also doesn't provide medical coverage for my daughter, Your Honor.
What difference does that make? He said,
because
listen to me very carefully. I read your answer. Your answer said that you got angry, that he was going to take the child to the doctor.
Correct.
So you went over to pick her up.
I did.
And it would seem to me that on February 11th, since you haven't had the child to the dermatologist since the beginning of January because you have no medical coverage, that if the child's father was prepared to take her to a doctor to look into this situation that was unremitting while in your care, you wouldn't get angry. You would say, thank you.
No.
Thank you. Not, she's mine and I'll take care of it.
Your Honor,
Listen to me. That's what a mother does. A mother does not say, I'm not going to let him because that's my job and he has no right to do that. Mother says, if I don't have medical coverage and my husband doesn't provide enough for me to take the child to the dermatologist, if the child's father's going to do that, let him. That's great just as long as the child gets cared for. So the fact that you went over there and made a fuss over there that day is stupid.
I did take my daughter to the doctor that day. I could not take her to dermatology that day.
The doctor says he can't help her. This is the letter you gave me. The doctor says I cannot help her. That was a Saturday. Did you take the child to the dermatologist Monday?
No, because my coverage ended.
Is she not following me?
I could not.
Is she not following me?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I asked about the door.
This getting to the door.
Get there faster. I'm losing patience with the door when I'm looking at it behind like this. I'm losing patience with everybody.
And later today,
she got in her car, whipped out her driveway, and drove off real fast. And it was an older dude. He kicked her car.
Nasty.
Nice little kick.
For no reason. Just stupid.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Alex Caballero says his child's mother, Lena Teru, damaged his front door by kicking it. Alex also says Lena is neglecting their daughter.
You got bigger problems than a door. I don't know what you're here wasting your time for with a door for $300 that got broken. I would save my energy and my time off from work by pursuing, if you feel as if you can provide the child with a better situation, with pursuing either more liberal rights with regard to this child's medical care or custody of this child if you feel as if you can provide for the child so that a child doesn't have to have these kind of wilts because these two people can't provide the child with appropriate medical care. Do you understand?
He now provides medical coverage for us, Your Honor.
It's not good enough. I guarantee you that if he was walking around with this on his behind, or you would have gotten yourself to a doctor and had it taken care of. Guaranteed.
On his knee.
And the fact that this child is 7 years old and has no voice, and you have to be this child's voice, is to me an abomination that you would allow the child to walk around for 6 weeks like this. Now, you want to talk about your door?
Yeah.
How did the door get broken?
When she, after that incident, I had a phone conversation with her stating that she was going to come over and pick up the daughter. I stated to her that her daughter needed to see a physician that day, and then she continued to call me names over the phone, so I hung up on her.
I asked about the door.
This getting to the door.
Get there faster. I'm losing patience with the door when I'm looking at it behind like this. I'm losing patience with everybody.
She came to the house, continued to ring the doorbell. I answered the front door, and we did have a security screen door. She asked for her daughter. I told her no. And she continued to say, I'm going to kick you, I'm going to kill you. As soon as you come out of here, I'm going to get you. And I told her, if she don't get off my property right now, I'm going to call the sheriffs. And as soon as I said that, she started to pull and bang and yank on the security screen door.
You have a picture of the door?
I also have a witness, that my neighbor, that also seen all of it.
Is the witness here?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, let me see. Where's the witness?
He's in the back.
Okay, let's bring out the witness, please.
Do you swear to tell the truth in these matters?
Yes.
State your name for the record, please.
Travis Smith.
Mr. Smith, are you a neighbor of these people?
Yes, I am.
All right, I'm going to direct your attention to the 12th of February of 2005. Were you home on that day?
Yes, I was.
Did you witness an altercation between this defendant and the plaintiff's wife?
Yes.
Would you tell me what you observed, please?
I heard a bunch of yelling and screaming.
What did you hear?
I heard, open the door, give me my kid, something to that effect. A lot of profanity.
By whom?
Defendant. At the time, I didn't realize it was actually her that was screaming the profanity. I thought it was the people down the street that were fighting. I came outside, and when I noticed that it was actually coming across the street, I approached her, just trying to figure out what was going on.
What did you say to her?
Basically, I asked, what's going on? Because I'm new to the neighborhood. I want to, trying to learn my neighbors. And
okay, she said, what's going on? And she said,
oh, I'm trying to get my baby. They have my baby, and she won't let me have her. She goes, I have the cops on the way, and I walked her out onto the sidewalk. I said, well, if the police are on their way, then why don't you stand here, calm down, let the police do their job.
Okay. Is that all you saw?
Pretty much.
Can I mention my side of what he said?
Go ahead.
When he came outside, he asked me, is that Alexis and Alicia fighting again? And I said, no, it's me screaming at her to give me my daughter.
Is that what you said?
No. I didn't even know her name at the time. I didn't even know he had another daughter. That's how new to the street I was.
He might have said Alex and his wife fighting again.
I said, are they fighting again? I thought it was people down the street.
He had said that they were fighting last weekend, the weekend prior to the February 12th.
No.
She was so upset she doesn't know.
Well,
The only thing she wasn't upset about, the only thing Miss Teru wasn't upset about was this.
That's...
You owe him the money for the door, madam, $322. Judgment for the plaintiff in that amount. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I just want to get my daughter taken care of, and I just want her to take responsibility for the actions she did.
I think she's jealous, and because that was her first love, and I came in between.
I told her I'd kill her. She didn't give me my daughter. That's right, I did.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Lang versus Lewis Finch. Step forward, please.
Legal assistant Mary Lang is suing 16-year-old Timothy Finch Jr. and his mother, Octavia Lewis, for the cost to fix her car. Mary says Timothy dented the vehicle by kicking it.
Miss Lang, it is your claim that this young man dented your car.
That is correct.
By kicking it?
Yes.
Mr. Finch says that it was not him.
Okay.
When did it happen and where?
On February 3rd of this year, I was getting into my car. The defendants and some other kids were across the street, and they were throwing snowballs at me. I then got it.
How many kids?
There's a bus stop there, and the kids, there's a high school down the street, and the kids stand at that bus stop.
So how many
About
kids?
20.
Go ahead.
I then got into my car, and I backed up, and I stopped at that stop sign where the bus stop is. And the defendant was standing at the bus stop, but he was standing out in the road, not exactly on the sidewalk.
What specifically about the defendant caused you to remember him?
He had a camouflage jacket on.
Anyone other than the defendant wearing a camouflage jacket?
No, Your Honor.
Just one?
Yes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Mary Lang claims 16-year-old Timothy Finch Jr. vandalized her car by kicking it. Timothy says Mary's got the wrong guy.
Okay, tell me exactly what you saw.
Well, I had to go a little slow because I was watching out for these kids that were in the road, and there was another car coming this way, and I was making a right-hand turn. So I was looking to make sure that I wasn't hitting these kids or whatever, and I saw the defendant kick my car in the passenger side mirror.
What did you do?
I then pulled up to see if there was any damage, and there was. There was a nice dent in my car. And I went back to my apartment, and I called 911. My apartment is right across the street from the bus stop.
Okay. I want to hear what Mr. Finch has to say.
I had detention in school, and I got into a problem earlier in the week in school, so they wasn't going to let me out the building until they knew the bus was exactly coming. So when I left out the school, I was walking down the street, and all you heard was like, oh, like they was yelling, like we thought it was a fight or something. So we walked down there, and then it was like a Caucasian, like a heavyset boy was across the street, and other kids was running at him, tackling them, jumping on them, and then they was throwing snowballs at her also. And then they was kept on throwing them and throwing them, so she went in her doorway, she called the cops. And then I guess the cops ain't come, so she got in her car. She whipped out her driveway, and then she drove off real fast and turned the corner. I was standing next to her, and then there was a whole lot of other people in front of me. And then when she turned, it was an older dude that was out there that ain't go to school. He kicked her car. She stopped, and when she got her car, she said, "You're going to pay for this damage at my car." She was looking at the dude right in his face when she said it, and then she bagged up, and then she went in her driveway, and then she got back in the doorway.
What did this dude look like?
He was dark-skinned. He had a camouflage coat on, he had a black hoodie, and he had a braids on, but he had a hat on.
Had you ever seen him before?
I seen him. He come up to our school mostly every day. He don't go to our school. He just come up there mostly every day.
What does he do at your school if he doesn't go to school there?
He just come up there every day. He just be out there talking to everybody.
Every day?
Every day.
So you've seen him 50 times?
Yes.
And no question that you could identify him?
Yes.
You have a police report?
I do, Your Honor.
I'd like to see it. Now, they took you off the bus, is that right?
Yes.
Did this older guy also get on the bus?
No, once she called the cops, him and the other two dudes that was with him, they went off back towards, I don't know, towards Granite. That's the street back that way.
Now, when the police took you off the bus, did you tell the police at that time that you could identify the true perpetrator because he came to your school every day and you know who he is? Did you tell that to them?
No, I didn't.
Well, you just told me, and it would seem to me logical, Mr. Finch, that if you had not committed this crime and the police took you off the bus, you would have said, listen, it was this older dude who comes to the school every day, who I know, because I've seen him at least 50 times, I can point him out to you. I would tell that to the police like that. This young lady, step up, whose name is?
LaToya.
That LaToya, who was standing right next to you, right? That's what you said.
Yes.
You saw exactly what he saw, right?
Yes.
You were waiting for him because he got detention?
No, I was also in detention.
Everybody's in detention. Now, after he got pulled off the bus, were you on the bus with him?
Yes.
Did you get off the bus?
Yes.
Did you tell the police that it wasn't him, it was this other guy? He told me about this other guy who did it.
Yes, I told them when they were on the bus.
You told that to the police?
When they were on the bus, we pointed to people, the two boys that actually did it, to her car, but they didn't take them. They took him and another boy.
Are you telling me that you told the police that it was boys on the bus who caused the dent to her car?
Yes.
Sit down. He says they had walked away already. Okay. Can I see pictures of the car, please? Nasty.
Nice little kick.
For no reason. Just because being stupid. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
This is case number 420 on the calendar in the matter of Tumber versus Sotanko. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
Mr. Tumber, this is your former wife and her present husband. And the two of you have been divorced for some time. You have a 17-year-old son. I assume that that is this young man over here.
That's
is that
correct.
right? According to the complaint that I've read, recently, after your divorce and after your former wife was remarried, she ran into some financial difficulty and called you and asked you for a loan. You obliged, according to you, advanced her some money, I think $750.
That's correct.
You want the money back.
Correct.
And in addition, your former wife and her husband purchased a car for your son.
Correct.
And you invested some money in that car in repairing it.
Correct.
Then you decided to buy your son a newer car. And according to you, there was an understanding that they would reimburse you when they sold the old car for the money that you had invested in it so that you could sort of put it towards the new car that you were buying for him.
Correct.
They sold the car and they didn't give you the money that you had invested in it.
Correct.
So you also want that money.
Correct.
When did your former wife call you for this initial loan?
It was around the beginning of this year, but around January.
What happened? You ran into some
2004.
financial difficulty?
The financial difficulty wasn't about me necessarily. It was regarding my son and expenses that we had with the car, with medical, and with a phone bill.
What do you mean the car? What kind of expenses?
Okay, the car that we purchased for my son was a car that we knew...
I don't care what you knew. You had expenses because you had to have it fixed?
Yes.
And how much did you need to have the car fixed?
There were different parts that we needed to buy. My husband did the repairs.
So you spent some of the money that he gave you to fix the car?
Correct.
How much?
The total that we spent on the repairs, just the parts alone of the receipts I could find,
yes,
was $224.03.
$224 to fix the car?
For the parts.
Fine. I don't care what your husband's labor was. That's not important to me. What else did you need money for?
My son had a cell bill.
Who bought him a cell phone?
I did.
So why was it your former husband's responsibility?
It wasn't, except for my son went over the minutes, and he did this more than one occasion.
Did your former wife tell you, Mrs. Sotanko, tell you that this money she was asking you for was for your son?
No, Your Honor, she
What did
didn't.
she tell you?
It was for mortgages on the home that she was in arrears of.
Were you in arrears on your mortgage?
I was never in arrears on my mortgage.
Did you tell him that you needed money to pay your mortgage?
I told him that I couldn't pay the mortgage and everything else, that my son's cell bill was so much money, my son's medical bills that the insurance didn't cover was so much money.
You pay child support, sir?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
How much do you pay?
Just shy of $600 a month, I believe.
Okay. How much money did you
Your
give?
Honor, that's not true.
How much does he give you?
$370 a month.
How do you account for the discrepancy, Mr. Tumber?
I'm not sure how much I pay, to be honest with you, Your Honor.
So why don't you say, I'm not sure? I don't know is something
Yeah,
that a man can say.
I don't know.
3 little words.
I don't know.
Don't know.
Correct, thank you.
Well, you should know how much child support you pay. Do you pay it pursuant to income deduction order?
Yes.
So it comes right out of your pay?
Right out of my check, yes.
So it's not $600, it's $370 a month, according to you. Is that what you receive, or do you receive more if there is some in arrears?
$370 a month, Your Honor.
Period?
Period.
Okay, fine. How much money did you loan to her, sir?
$750.
Oh, that's not true, Your Honor.
Show me.
Your Honor, I'd like to
You have a
submit...
check?
Yes.
Let me see it,
Canceled checks with her signature on them.
Your Honor, he could have written anything in after the fact.
No, I'm just looking at the canceled checks, madam. And I'm even looking for the memo. The memo is irrelevant. You owe him $750. I think it's very nice that you can call him and say, listen, I ran into some financial difficulties and I need some money and your son lives with me, so could you do it for me?
But, Your Honor, that's not how it happened.
Did you sell the car? We're
Yes,
going to
we
get to the
sold the
car
car.
now.
But-
Just a second. We're going to get to the car. You and your husband bought a car, and you bought a car for your son. And according to you, some of the money that you got from him was used to fix the car.
Correct.
Right. Then you sold the car.
Correct.
How much money did you give him? I just answer my question. How
Zero.
much money did you give him? Zero. How much did you sell the car for?
$1,000.
Well, if he paid for the parts to fix the car, why didn't you think it was appropriate that if he was buying your son a new car, for you not to at least reimburse him for what he had spent? Don't you think that that's appropriate? Fair? Reasonable? If I believe you, Mrs. Satango, if I believe you, you were able to call your former husband and say to him, despite the fact that you are under a court order and paid child support, it's not enough. Because I have some bills that I'm having trouble paying for our son. He went over his minutes on a cell phone that I bought him. That's not his fault. You choose to buy him a cell phone, 17-year-old kid, and he's not responsible enough? That's not his father's problem, because you provided him with the vehicle to be irresponsible. But he was, according to you, he was a nice guy and said, here's the money. According to you, he was a nice guy when you say I had to fix the car and I need some parts. According to you, he was a nice guy, gave you the money. According to you, despite the fact that he pays child support and is not in arrears, he had some unreimbursed medical bills, and he said, here's the money. So I'm asking you, if he was a nice guy, how come when you sold the car and he was buying him a new car, you didn't say, here's the money that you laid out for the parts?
The car was bought because the car that we bought for my son wasn't good enough, wasn't cool enough. They bought the car. I had nothing to do with that, neither did my husband. We have endured financial difficulty. We did not say that we were going to give him the money. It wasn't for my son to barter. It wasn't for him to barter. We paid the mortgage with the money, and that's the circumstance we're under right now.
So why didn't you just say that to me instead of giving me a whole lot of who shot John? You paid the mortgage. You borrowed money from him and paid a mortgage.
I thought you knew that. I'm sorry.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You're supposed to be responsible. You're supposed to be moral. You're supposed to be a moral example for your child. You are not.
I am not.
No, you are not.
And later today,
The only thing that saved my dog's life is the fact that she's 90 pounds.
I saw the dogs basically tearing it apart.
If she had been a smaller dog, the injuries would have killed her.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Paul Tumber says ex-wife Stephanie Sotenko owes for a loan and for proceeds from the sale of their son's vehicle.
Listen, you're a nice guy and she owes you $750 because I believe it was a loan. Now, you tell me about the contract that you say you had with her with regard to paying you back for the money that you invested in the old car.
Okay, well, the verbal contract was that when the vehicle was sold, that I would recoup the money for the parts for the repairs, which I have canceled checks for right here.
Can I see them, please?
And
who
there
did you
never
make
was
this,
a
who did you make?
I'm sorry?
Who did you make this contract with, sir?
With Stephanie.
Can I say something, Your Honor, or do I need to speak in turn? Or
No, now you tell me.
As far as the car, how many fathers give money toward repairs of their son's car and then ask for it back after the car is sold?
Well, let me tell you what usually happens. Usually, if boy has a car, and if he wants a better car, and his parents, they are reasonable, say, listen, we'll sell this car, we'll use whatever money we get from this car, we'll put it towards another car. That's what parents do. What you did was you took money from your former husband, because these are your canceled checks.
I didn't take money toward the
Yes, you did.
Your Honor, I did not ask him for the money for the parts for the car. He willingly gave me that money.
Because he's a nice guy.
So he was a nice guy and did that for our son.
Just a second, he's a nice guy.
And
you're supposed to be responsible. You're supposed to be moral. You're supposed to be a moral example for your child. You are not.
I am not?
No, you are not. You are not.
Okay.
Because if he is being a nice guy, what you're supposed to be is a moral example for your son and say, listen, we sold the car for $1,000. You put in practically that. I'm speaking. You put in practically that. I'll be more than happy to give that money towards the new car so that we will jointly, in some way, have contributed to the car that our son is driving. You chose not to do that. You owe him the money for the repairs to the car because I believe you had an agreement, if you sold the car, to give him back that money. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,595. That's it.
Thank you very much, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
If I had had the money, morally, I would have given the money.
I'm in a financial position. I don't make a lot of money, that I just wanted my funds back.
I didn't really want to be here, but I guess it's the best way to do it.
It's no love lost between my son and I.
Be sure that you know what and who you're dealing with.
Did we learn anything today? I don't really think so.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Valerio versus Gunderson, step forward.
Customer service rep Summer Valerio is suing fellow dog owner, 21-year-old customer service rep Gabe Gunderson for vet bills. Summer says Gabe's pit bull attacked her dog.
Ms. Valerio, you claim that the defendant's dog injured your dog during a fight.
Yes.
And you want the defendant to pay the vet bills.
Correct.
For your dog. Mr. Gunderson says that there was a dog fight. Your dog got the worst of the fight, and your dog shouldn't have been there anyway. So you'll explain that to me. What kind of a dog do you have?
She's a Mastiff Lab mix.
That's a big dog?
Yes.
And where was the dog?
In March of 2004, I made arrangements with Janice Rawson to keep my dogs at her house because she had just bought a house, and me and my boyfriend at the time broke up, and I was moving into a condo and didn't feel it was fair to take my 2 large dogs to a condominium with me. So she agreed to keep the dogs, and I continued to pay for their food and their vet bills while they were in her care until I made new living arrangements.
Just a second. So you left your dogs with this lady in March. Step up. What's your name?
My name is Janice Rawson.
You have a large piece of property?
It's a house with a yard.
You have your own dogs?
No.
What kind of dogs? One was a Mastiff mix, and what was the other?
Pit Bull Boxer mix.
Also a big dog?
Yes.
Who else lives in your house?
At the time when I moved in, it was Jeffrey, her now husband, and Dustin.
Jeffrey, her now husband.
The boyfriend I had separated from. And then we got back together and got married. But it was a temporary separation. He was living with her with the dogs there at the time.
Oh. So not only did you place your dogs with her, but you placed your ex-boyfriend there, too.
Yes.
Now, tell me about Mr. Gunderson.
Mr. Gunderson moved in with me when Summer...
What do you do, rent rooms?
Yes. I have a 4-bedroom house.
Okay, so you rented a room to him. Okay.
Mr. Gunderson moved in with me when Jeffrey moved in with Summer, and they got married, and then I rented a room to Gabe.
So Mr. Gunderson moved in with a...
Male pit bull.
So now you have 3 dogs in your house.
3 dogs.
Is that the dog that injured her dog?
No, that's a separate dog.
Well, where did the separate dog come from?
We went on vacation to San Diego. We were told by Jeffrey.
Who's we?
Me, Janice, a different group of friends of ours. We were told by Jeffrey before we left on a certain date the dogs would be gone. We get back from San Diego. I pick up the dog who got
Picked up what dog?
The dog that's the reason why we're here, the one that attacked her dog. Or
You
got
mean a
into fight
second
with
dog?
hers.
You picked
The
up a second dog?
Right. Picked that dog up. I got home, found out that Jeff and Summer did not live up to their end of the bargain as far as taking those dogs back like we were told.
Your Honor. Well, why did you need a second dog?
I asked Janice. I wanted a female so I can breed. I asked Janice. She said that'd be fine.
Is that right?
Yes, but the condition was that he could only get the second dog when her dogs were gone, and it wasn't an exact date of when they were going to take the dogs back. It was a hopeful date. So he should have made sure that the dogs were gone before he actually picked up the pit bull.
Well, he didn't. So on what date did you pick up the pit bull?
October 9th.
And what date was this fight that caused the injury to Miss Valerio's dog?
On the 28th, same month.
So why didn't you tell me how to get rid of the dog?
Well, I like dogs, and it's not, you know, and the family who had the dog before couldn't keep the dog, and so it didn't really have anywhere to go back to except for the pound, and I didn't want to see that happen, so...
Okay, so you allowed him to keep the dog there. Fine.
Yes.
Now tell me about the fight.
My other witness here is the one that broke up the dog fight and basically saved my dog's life.
Is that right?
Yes.
Good. Between the 9th of October and the day that this happened, did you visit your dogs?
Yes, and I actually, a couple weekends prior, had taken Justice to my house for the weekend. I would take her sometimes for 3 or 4 days at a time.
So you knew he had both dogs there?
Yes, but I did not know that that dog had a history of being aggressive. He, on the other hand, did.
Were you home when Miss Valerio's dog was injured?
No, no.
You were? Step up. Tell me your name. Miss Rosen, you may sit down.
Noelle Cook.
I'll hear you.
Okay. I was at home, and I just heard the dogs fighting in the backyard, and I went to look over the fence, and I saw the dogs, his female and kind of his male. His male kept coming in and out of the fight. They had her dog pinned on the ground and basically tearing it apart.
And I have pictures, Your Honor.
I'd like to see it.
And also her vet bills and her medical records.
I'd like to see the pictures first.
Saved my dog's life is the fact that she's 90 pounds. If she had been a smaller dog, the injuries would have killed her.
Mr. Gunderson, you understand, sir, that sometimes pit bulls have been known to be aggressive dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yes.
How did you find out about the dog?
They lived actually across the street from a friend of mine. I've seen them before. Saw an ad in the paper. I called them, found out that it was the same people. So I've talked to them. I've seen the dog before, been around the dog before. It wasn't a big issue.
Did they have children?
They have one kid, yes.
And they felt that the dog was not appropriate to live with.
Well, they have 2 other dogs.
Look at me.
They have 2 other dogs.
They felt that the dog was not appropriate to live with them. Otherwise, what reason do you have to get rid of a dog?
Yeah, well,
if you have other dogs. It's not an allergy.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Gunderson, pay careful attention. I'm very smart. This dog, you knew that the dog had had some problems. Is that right?
Right.
Who do you think is responsible, therefore, for a dog that has had certain problems in the past when the dog attacks again?
The owner of that dog.
That's you.
Mm-hmm.
You were aware of the dog's previous problems with the prior owner. Why you would choose to take a dog that had had problems, I don't know. And why you would choose to breed a dog that had prior problems, I for sure don't know. You have an answer to either of those questions?
I knew about the situation. I explained to Janice before I even got the dog.
I'm not talking about Janice. I'm asking you why you would choose to take a dog that had problems.
Because I had nowhere to go, so I took it.
And why, if it had nowhere else to go when you know the dog has certain character problems, why would you choose to breed a dog like that?
It's one fight. I didn't think it'd be a big deal, to be honest.
Well,
I've
now
been around.
you know better, right?
Yeah.
Good. Now I'll see the vet bills. That was easy.
Your Honor, each page is an individual invoice. The total actually came to what I wrote on the front. And she had to be kept in the hospital for 7 days.
Do you understand, sir? We all make certain choices when we get a pet. What you're supposed to do is you're supposed to choose a pet that doesn't have violent propensities. You chose a pet that you knew had had problems enough so that a prior owner was looking to get rid of it. You took it. Not only did you take it, but you made a choice, because one of the reasons that you told me you chose to take this dog is because you wanted to breed it, to propagate whatever character flaws that this dog had. That is stupid. Very stupid. It's going to cost you $2,455.50. That's all. Step out.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Your Honor, this is case number 472 on the calendar in the matter of Weaver versus Wisner. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Mr. and Mrs. Weaver, according to your complaint, you hired the defendant to perform your wedding ceremony, and you paid her $150?
Yes.
And Ms. Wisner didn't come to the ceremony. She came about an hour late after you called her. She gave you your money back, $150, and did what she had to do because somebody else had performed the ceremony, so she signed the marriage certificate. She apologized, she gave you back your money, and now you want tons of money for your aggravation.
I don't want tons.
Well, you paid her $150 and you're suing her for $1,000.
First of all, she didn't apologize.
Well, she apologized by giving you back your money.
That doesn't make up for keeping a room full of people waiting. I mean, when it's your wedding day, that's the last thing you think of is that your preacher's not going to show up.
Terrible.
Yep. And then she sits in an 8-by-8 room waiting for her to come in. It just...
Mr. Weaver, I'm going to let you do the entire thing. You contacted her. The wedding was supposed to take place when and what time?
December 30th at 6:30 p.m.
And she didn't show up. She wasn't there at 6:30, so you called her.
Right.
And what time did you call her?
I got right here on my cell phone bill. It was 6:34. I called.
And did you get her on the phone?
No, left a message.
Okay, and then what happened?
I tried her cell phone at 6:44.
And did you get her?
No,
Go
left a
ahead.
message. Then I tried again at 6:57.
Okay.
Got a hold of her.
Good. And what did you say to her, and what did she say to you?
I said, Miss Weisner, Stu Weaver, aren't you supposed to be somewhere about now? And she goes, oh my God, was that tonight? And I go, yes, I think it was. And she goes, well, I've had travel problems. And I said, I don't hear about your travel problems. I have people here from Arkansas, Mississippi, Tennessee, and Florida. She goes, well, we got laid over in Atlanta. And I said, so this is what you call taking $150 of money and run. She goes, oh, my, don't say that. And I says, we have someone we think that'll perform the ceremony.
And who was that?
That was a co-worker of Lisa's.
Well, how could she perform the ceremony?
She is an ordained minister for her church.
Oh, good.
But she is not recognized by the state of Ohio.
Okay, but she's an ordained minister for the church, and
Yes,
she's
ma'am.
performed...
And she did not get there until about 7 o'clock herself.
But she was a guest.
Yes, she was a guest.
We have,
she had never performed a wedding before.
Okay, she was a guest. She got there at 7. You asked her to perform the wedding.
Yes.
What time was the ceremony performed?
Let's say about 7:15.
It was...
Okay. And how many people did you have at the wedding?
Between 80 and 85.
Now, you told Miss Weisner to come because she had to sign the certificate.
I asked if she could come and sign the marriage certificate.
And what
Correct.
did she say?
She says, well, I don't think I can make it tonight. Can we arrange it tomorrow? And I says, well, yeah, if you can fly to Hawaii tomorrow, because we leave at 5:30 in the morning for Hawaii.
Okay, and what did she say?
He hauled around a little bit. Of course, she was ill like I am today. So, and she goes, well, I will be there when I can get there.
And
I
what
says,
time did she arrive?
I think it was around 9:30.
And what did she do when she arrived at 9:30?
Well, she come in the door and we filled out the form and she signed a marriage certificate and then she handed over a check.
And what did she say when she handed over the check?
She says it's the first time in 12 years. This has never happened in 12 years.
Okay, and you took the check?
Yes.
Good. What happened to your travel plans?
We had planned a trip out here to be with family at Christmas time, and it truly was the trip to hell and back. We ended up our first night out spending the night on the airport floor in Cincinnati, and finally made it to California. Everything absolutely went wrong through the whole trip. We got on the plane on December 29th. We were to have been home that night. We ended up being stuck in Atlanta that night. We didn't get back until December 30th in the afternoon. In the meantime, I got very ill, and the stress of the trip and everything, I just went right to bed, thinking that I know I have a ceremony the day after we get home, and I was in such a muddle that it didn't occur to me that that was the day. I was thinking it was the next day.
Okay. You got there at 9:30?
No.
What time did you get there?
I didn't get there any later than 7:30 because I was home by 8 o'clock and back in bed.
And how far do you live from where the wedding was?
About 15 minutes.
Okay. Now, Mr. and Mrs. Weaver, you got married that day, correct?
Yes.
And you were married by 7:15.
Yes.
45 minutes after the invitations said that the wedding was going to take place, because the invitations called for 6:30.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes. That is right.
Okay. Everybody knows when invitations read 6:30, wedding usually starts about a half hour later.
No. 6:30 is when the wedding...
That's not what I'm saying to you, sir.
Well, Miss Weisner...
I'm speaking. All I want you to tell me is what you're suing for. I want to hear what you're suing for.
Okay, we're suing for. Here we go. We had to pay the DJ, which I have evidence of, an extra $150.
Good.
And I have my future wife in an 8-by-8 bathroom for 45 minutes.
not knowing if we're going to have a wedding or
So,
not.
yeah,
We have a
you're
room
right.
full of people. She was supposed to be there at 6 p.m. to do a rehearsal. She said if you don't have a formal rehearsal the night before, that she requires that you be there 30 minutes prior to the start of the ceremony to go do a walkthrough. Well, we had none of that. And she's talking about a stressful trip. We had a very, very stressful wedding.
I understand that. I understand. How do you
But
put
she
it
didn't
down?
even say she was sorry that night.
I did.
Not
I
to me.
apologize profusely. You wouldn't
We have
even,
witnesses.
you wouldn't
do me
even
a favor,
look at
don't.
me for me to apologize
If you're
to
going
you.
to, don't speak to each other.
Sorry, Your Honor.
Now, Mrs. Weaver, I can understand your stress, but I don't understand why you choose to prolong that stress by instituting a lawsuit for $1,000 for stress when you got married, and whether it was from 7:15 or 7:45 until the wedding was over, I assumed that you danced together because you had a DJ. I assumed that you had dinner. I assumed that you conversed with friends. I assumed that you told this story innumerable times that the minister didn't show up for your wedding. You know, that will make a good story for you to tell 20 years from now. What I don't understand is why you choose to prolong whatever stress you had by bringing on a lawsuit. I could understand that if she didn't give you your money back, but she came and without even you asking, she handed you back your check, which indicates to me that she felt terrible about what had happened.
We still feel that we should have had a phone call.
She didn't even
She had
call.
all 3 numbers to call and say, hey, I'm
She
not
just said to you, sir, she got into bed and she really thought in her own mind that the wedding was scheduled for the day after she got back. It was a big mistake. And according to you, you said to me, when you got her on the phone, she said to you, oh, is that today? Which pretty much is what she says, that she thought it was the next day. How could she have called you? What was she supposed to do, call you and tell you, I think I have a wedding tomorrow? She made a mistake. Mistakes don't always
yeah,
comport
but
to
in
a
that
lawsuit.
profession, that's not a mistake. In that profession, that is not a mistake.
Now, what do you do for a living?
I drive a truck.
Ever make a mistake?
Yes.
Ever not get to where you're supposed to get on time?
Yes.
Did your boss dock you
Yes.
because you made a mistake? How would you feel if he turned around and sued you for his aggravation for an additional $1,000? Just a minute. I'm asking you a question. Would you think that your boss was out of order if he turned around and said, you know, I had a lot of people on my tail because you didn't get there on time, so in addition to docking you, I'm going to sue you for $1,000 or $2,000 for my aggravation? Would you think he was stupid?
He could do that, I guess.
I said, would you think he was stupid?
No.
Sure you would. And I think
No.
similarly, case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I told you not to come on this show.
Really, the main thing that I wanted, it was the principle of the thing. An apology would have been nice that night.
I did apologize profusely, but Mrs. Weaver would not make eye contact with me and would not speak to me.
It was terrible. I mean, I'm in this little room and there's no preacher there.
Panic, yeah. Panic's the word.
I think people create their own disasters and their own problems, and they need to take life as it comes.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Jaramillo versus Adamo. Step forward, please.
Administrative assistant Catherine Jaramillo is suing the mother of her daughter's ex-boyfriend, medical transcriber Barbara Adamo, for a loan to catch up on her bills.
Ms. Jaramillo, according to what I've read in your complaint, your daughter and the defendant's son used to date.
Yes.
And that's how you knew her.
Yes.
How long did they date?
About 3 years.
And Miss Adamo at some point had some financial difficulties. You claim a series of loans to her, loans amounting to $2,950.
Yes.
The kids are no longer an item, they're no longer together. Miss Adamo says that while maybe she acknowledges one loan to help her pay her rent, she'd never received any other money from you. And in addition, she says that there was some sort of a set-off for that rent money, which she's going to tell me about. When and why did you make the first loan?
My daughter came to me and said, you know, can you help her out a little bit? They don't have any food in their house. Both of her sons were living there at the time. She had 4 kids there at the time. And they didn't have any groceries, and she didn't have any money. So I said, sure. So I gave my daughter $100 to take over there so that she could go grocery shopping.
Okay. That's not a loan.
Right.
That's
right.
a gift.
Right, I understand that.
Okay. Did she call you and thank you?
Yes, she did.
Tell me about that conversation.
She just said that she was always out of money, that she was having to go to check cashing places and get payday advances, that no one had ever really sat down and taught her how to pay her bills or how to budget her money. And I told her that I could help her do that because I, too, am a single mom with 3 kids. So we sat down and we wrote down everything she owed, all of her regular monthly bills, a few outstanding debts that she had, how much she made, how much she was capable of making, because if she works more, she can make more. And
what kind of work were you doing, Miss Adamo?
I do medical transcription.
You are an independent contractor?
No. I work at a hospital, but I have incentive. Anything over 1,000 lines a day, we get an additional 7.5 cents per line.
So you sat down with her. Do you remember when that was?
It was in November.
It was in December of 2003.
Okay. Go ahead.
In December of 2003, I asked her if she would help me with my budgeting. So she said, yes, I will help you because she's really good with money. And so I went to her house and we sat down and we put all the bills on the table and we went through the whole thing. And she said to me, tomorrow I'm going to go and get a money order for $1,350 and you're going to take it and pay your rent with it. And I said, wait, Kathy, I don't know when I can pay back $1,350.
Well, your rent was due. How were you going to pay your rent?
I didn't know at that point.
Well, you had to, just Miss Adamo, you had to pay your rent.
Right. So she gave me the money order for $1,350 a day later.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what arrangements did you make to pay her back?
We had no arrangements at that point. She said we'd talk about it after the holidays. That's what she said to me.
Just a second. You mean she said we would talk about how you were going to pay her back after the holidays?
After the holidays.
So it was a loan?
Yes. Oh, it was a loan, yes.
Okay.
Yes,
I wasn't clear on that.
No, it was a loan.
Fine.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Well, you must have a bank statement if you say you withdrew money.
I didn't ever think that I would need them.
Well, you need them when you come to court.
Right.
That's a no-brainer.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Catherine Jaramillo says former friend Barbara Adamo owes for a loan to pay bills.
Now, did the plaintiff's daughter give you $100 for groceries?
Yes, she did.
When?
Probably in November. That was before the $1,350.
Now, when was the second amount of money that you gave her?
The same day as the money order. I had my daughter go down to the bank and get the cash out.
For what?
Because when we sat down and we wrote down all of her bills, everything that she owed, I told her that I could loan her the money to pay all of this off so that she could start fresh. And she said that every year she got a really big tax check and that it would be February, March, and that she would be able to pay me back all of this. I completely wiped out all of her debt. She's never disputed that she's owed me this money until today.
Just a minute. How much did you give her in addition to the $1,350?
I gave her $600.
Is that right, Miss Adamo?
That's not right.
How much did she give you?
The only cash she ever gave me was the $100 in November, and then I received a money order for $1,350. I never, ever received any more cash after that point, ever.
Okay. Let us assume for the moment, just other than the $1,350 and what you claim is a $600 cash loan, is there any other money that you loaned her?
Yes, I gave her $600 right before Christmas because they didn't have a tree. She wasn't going to be able to get the kids anything.
Do you have any proof of that?
No, I do not.
Well, you must have a bank statement if you say you withdrew money.
We no longer have those. I didn't ever think that I would need them.
Well, you need them when you come to court.
Right.
And you knew you were coming. Shh, listen to me. And you knew you were coming to court.
Right.
So it's very easy to call the bank and say, get me a duplicate statement. Right?
Right.
That's a no-brainer. Okay. $1,350. Let's go.
Okay. And then my son graduated from boot camp, and I took Andy and her daughter, which she was supposed to reimburse me for that trip, which I have plane tickets and stuff, and that was supposed to come off the $1,350 that I owed her. And all of this was verbal. We never wrote anything down because we were friends at the time. I was very grateful for what she had done for me.
So you should have paid her back.
Yes.
And you still should pay her back.
Well, I did.
You explain to me how you paid her back, and give me the whole story. You were going to visit your son.
Yes.
And at that time, your son and her daughter were an item.
Correct.
And your son wanted you to bring his girlfriend.
Actually,
look, your son wanted you to bring his girlfriend.
Yes, he wanted to see her.
Right. And she said, let me just speculate. She said she's not going. I don't have the money for her to go.
No, that's not what she said. As a matter of fact, I asked the daughter not to go because at that point I thought I was only going to have 5 hours to spend with my son because right after graduation he was being sent to Florida.
According to your answer, madam, you said, I spoke to Kathy and she said she wasn't willing to pay for the expenses for Andy and her friend. That's what you swore to in your answer.
Right, so we were supposed to take it out of the $1,350. She wasn't supposed to give me the money. That's what we did. That's what we agreed upon.
Go ahead.
That is simply not true. My daughter was going to go see her boyfriend graduate. I paid for the trip. That was her birthday present for me. She bought the tickets online. I went over there and took her the cash for the tickets. Well, I paid for her trip, plus I gave her money to spend while she was there.
Let me ask you this question. Why would you give her money if she owed you all this money?
Because she wouldn't have the money to buy the tickets, and I wanted my daughter to go. She wanted to go. She did not want my daughter to go.
I didn't want her to go because of the fact that we only had a couple hours. So I asked her, let me just spend those few hours with my son. I've only got 5 hours with him. She threw such a fit. And Andy did. Her daughter threw such a fit.
Her daughter did. And what about your son?
My son understood that I only had the 5 hours at that point. At first, he did want her to go.
Listen to me. Your son wanted his girlfriend there.
Of course he did.
Your son wanted his girlfriend.
Of course
It's
he
very
did.
nice to see his mother.
Absolutely.
Mother, I want to see my girlfriend.
Right.
If my mother brings my girlfriend, I'd be happy to see my mother. But put your hand down. But if I had to choose, you said my girlfriend, and you can write me a long letter. All right, you owe her $1,350. That's what I'm satisfied she gave you as far as a loan is concerned. As far as the rest of the cash that you gave her, I'm not comfortable with awarding her that cash because you had the opportunity to have proof here before me that you did, in fact, at least take the money out of the bank. You chose, that was a conscious choice not to do that. And I don't believe that there was any sort of a set-off for these plane tickets. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,350. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. John, this is case number 470 on the calendar in the matter of Terrietta versus Coleman. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have a seat.
Ms. Terrietta, this is your mom.
Yes.
And you're suing her for a couple of things. First, you were living with her and her boyfriend. I assume this is the boyfriend?
Yes, it is.
For a while. You and your husband?
Yes.
And children?
My baby.
Your
my
baby?
6-month-old son.
Child. And there was some sort of a disagreement, a dispute. You left the house and you claim that your mother still has some of your property.
Yes.
That's one. Number two, you claim that your mother falsely reported to the police that you had stolen a credit card from her.
Correct.
And you were arrested.
Yes.
Your mom says that she has none of your property, and I don't understand her defense with regard to the credit card. Is what you're saying, Ms. Coleman, that you didn't call the police, but your boyfriend called the police?
Exactly.
Okay. Now, when did you and your husband and baby move in with your mother?
April 2004.
Why?
My mom didn't raise me. My father raised me from when I was 3 and my brother was 1 in New York. And I talked to my mom maybe 3 or 4 times a year for my whole life. She asked us to come there and come visit her, so I brought my son and we came to visit. I visited for about a month, and she said, why don't you come here with...
Well, what was your husband doing when you were visiting for
He
a
was
month?
still at work in North Carolina, where I'm from.
Okay, go ahead.
And then we were there for about a month, and John had come to visit 2 weekends, and she said, you should come here, save up all of your money, live with us, and you can save up enough money and get a house and come live here. So we did.
Where is here?
To Cincinnati, Ohio.
Okay.
And things were pretty normal and good for a little while.
Did your husband find a job?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
And I got a job at the end of August. After that, I think things went downhill from there. She was watching my son while I was going to work, and he had diaper rash almost every week to the point where his butt was bleeding, and I had to fix it every weekend.
Can you tell me on what day you moved out?
October 16th.
Had there been an argument?
Yes.
About what?
They came home, they had been drinking. My brother was back from Iraq with his wife, and they came into the house and they were stomping and slamming doors and screaming. And I asked my brother, I was like, can you be quiet? My son is sleeping. And he stood up and he was like, I don't have to be quiet, I don't have to do anything. And then Ron came up behind him and he was like, this is my house and this is my rules, and if you don't like it, you can get out. And he was screaming and acting like a psycho, so I went and got my husband. and he got in my husband's face and tried to start a fight with him and said, "Come on, big boy, come on, big boy. You want to do something?"
I got it. So things were, so you left that night?
Yes. And she came into my bedroom and she brought her purse with her. She took out her wallet and she opened it up and she went to looking through her credit cards and she went to give me the black one that I use sometimes, and then she goes, "Oh, you have my GM card, why don't you just use that one? Get a week at the hotel and I'll get you somewhere to live. At the end of the week, I'll get you somewhere to live."
Well, why would she get you somewhere to live if you were working and your husband was working?
Because she felt bad because we had moved there.
You had the credit card?
Correct.
Ms. Coleman, how did she get the credit card?
She had it. She was going to obtain some Barbie dolls for me at her job.
She gave it to me.
Just a second. When did you give her your credit card?
Probably 2 weeks prior to her leaving the house.
Does that sound familiar to you?
She gave me the card almost every day, all the time, for gas, cigarettes, everything.
How many times did she use the credit card? If I were to look at the slips from the credit card company, how many times before October had she used the credit card?
Probably about 6.
And would you give it to her each time, or was it in her possession?
Usually.
Not usually. Was it in her possession?
She kept it. She kept it. She kept it.
She kept it?
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, I'm going to get to the truth.
Yes,
you
ma'am.
understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, I would like to see the police report that was filled out with regard to the credit card. Well, first of all, Mrs. Coleman, you filled out this police report. This is in your handwriting.
Yes, they made me.
No, nobody makes you do anything. And you say here that she used it without my knowledge or permission.
Right.
Who made you? Your boyfriend?
No, no. When the sheriff came to the house.
Why did the sheriff come to the house?
Because he had checked our account online, and she had used
Who
it.
had?
My husband.
Yeah.
And she had used it at the motel room, charging $309. She went 3 different times in a matter of hours to the Meijer at the bottom of the hill and went on a shopping spree. Okay.
And so charged what?
Energy drinks, men's boxer shorts, women's bras, conditioner, shampoos, all the stuff that she brought the policeman to the house to get that night.
Miss Coleman, I don't understand something, madam. I mean, I hear you talking about all the things that she charged on this. You're not talking about a lot of money. They all look like emergency things that one would use if they were staying temporarily someplace that they needed interimly, especially when you have a baby.
Right.
And you knew she had the card, and she had had the card before.
Right.
Don't you think the smarter idea, rather than involving the police in this, was after you went online and saw that she had charged the hotel room and charged the other thing, to call the credit card company and say, listen, my daughter has the card. She's not authorized to use it anymore. I want to stop the use of the card. Do not let it be used again.
Prior to this, she had went to my salon and was mad at her husband, charged $680 worth of tanning products. My husband and her had gotten to a confrontation over it, and he told her, you are not allowed to use this credit card unless your mother gives you permission. And he said, because if you use this without my knowledge, he said, I will file a complaint on you.
Don't you think that it would have been smarter, more maternal, if you say to whatever his first name is, Joe, she's my daughter, she left the house, she's got my grandson with her, we don't want her to use the card anymore, just call the company and tell them, shut off the card. I don't want to involve the police, I don't want her to be arrested. Did you say that to him?
Yes, ma'am.
And what did he say?
Well, he said that he had already told her that she was not allowed to use it. And before she brought it back, minutes before she came to my house with the policeman standing there, she stopped and got a pack of cigarettes at the corner store.
You think he did the right thing?
No, ma'am.
You think you did the right thing?
Yes.
You did the wrong thing. Understand something, you're not blood. And what you did was irrevocably injure, if it hadn't been before, her relationship with her daughter. If you didn't want her to have the credit card, you should have taken it back.
We attempted to take it back.
No. Your girlfriend says that you told her you can hold on to it, but if you use it again without your mother's permission or my permission, I'm going to call the police. And I'm saying, is she lying to me?
No.
Well, and I'm saying to you, if you didn't want the temptation there, you should have taken the credit card back. But you don't put her in a situation where she's got a baby and the police come to the motel and take her away and arrest her. That can start a process going from which it's very hard to extricate yourself. Very stupid. But they were entitled to do it. And I somehow think that your mother is sorry that it happened. She's sort of stuck between a rock and a hard place.
I know.
You got it?
I know.
Okay. What does your mother have in the house that belongs to you?
I have pictures of some of this stuff, and then I wrote a list of all the things
Let
that
me
she
see it.
has. And I called her and asked for his high chair, and she said, when I was in the hotel, because I said he was eating on the bed, and she said, well, he needs his high chair. And I said, I want my caricature and the calendar of him that I've been making of him since I was born. And she said, you know, I don't think I have those things. All I want is some respect. And she said, Ron's going to take care of it from here, and threw the phone down.
Okay. You have these things?
I see she showed you a little picture of a toy box that Nicholas is in. That's mine. I bought everything that she's talking about, and I have receipts. I have $10,000 worth of receipts. Mr. Turietti was asked if he had got everything out. He said, yes, he did. He looked at me and said, all's in there is garbage. I can go down to my job, get a truck, come up and throw all that garbage away if you want me to. I said, don't worry about it, John.
Step
I'll
up,
clean
sir.
it up.
Did you go to the house?
Yes, Your Honor. I went on
With or
Monday
without the police?
with the police.
Fine.
And before we walked in, they wouldn't let us in the house until they had the credit card and the key to the tanning salon. She had to come up from the hotel. We gave them back the credit card, but we are not allowed to go anywhere in the house except the bedroom. Our stuff was in the basement, in another closet.
There's a lot of junk here.
Yes, Your Honor.
All of this doesn't add up to the motel room, right?
Right.
So what are you doing here?
I want the calendar that I've been making of my son since he was born. There's no, you cannot put a price on that. I put pictures of
Okay,
them.
do you have the calendar?
No, ma'am. And if it wasn't all that garbage, and what I had done was bought cases
Do you have
of
the
Pampers.
calendar? The
No,
answer is
ma'am.
no. She doesn't have the calendar.
That's just to hurt me. That's just to keep things from me that are
She
of my
doesn't have it.
son's.
Listen, you used a credit card, and I think that you probably knew that you weren't supposed to use the credit card at the time when you used it, whether you did or whether you didn't. What he had to pay for as a result of your using the credit card is more than this.
They didn't pay for anything. That's why my case was dismissed on January 21st, because they could not provide the receipts because they didn't pay the bill.
Oh, really?
Really.
Is that right?
You would have to ask Ron about that. We did pay. The reason it was dropped is I'm going through some cancer treatments. I didn't feel like going to, I couldn't. I was throwing
All
up.
I want to know is, did you pay for the motel?
We've reported it to the credit card company
They did not.
as a misuse of the credit card.
So the answer is you didn't.
No.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
She said that there's no need to make the payments now that the car's wrecked. So she told
No,
me.
you just made that up as you're going.
No, ma'am.
Did you say that to him?
No, I did not.
That's not what you wrote in your complaint, sir.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Beatrice Turrieta says her mother, Beatrice Coleman, had her falsely arrested for credit card theft. Beatrice says her mother gave her that card.
You bought certain things for your grandson. Toy box?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. High chair?
No, ma'am. I don't have the toy, but I didn't. Oh, that's a walker, yes. But I don't have that. They have that.
Yeah.
But this you have?
Yes, ma'am.
You want this?
I don't have that other thing.
Just listen to me. Do you want this?
Yes, I do.
Okay. You have any problem with them having that?
No, ma'am.
Okay. If you want to go over there in the company of a peace officer within 5 days, you can get those things. Understood?
Understood.
Very good. Thank you very much. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I was born to that, who I haven't seen since I was 3, and I will never see again.
I would have still give her the $3,000 if that's what she wanted.
She's not a mother. She doesn't know how to be a mother. She never will be a mother.
When she came to my house, she asked my husband where his connection was for cocaine, so I'm sure that's probably what she needed it for. Either that or a gallon of Captain Morgan every week.
I do like Captain Morgan, but I'm a little fat to be on the coke. You think?
She's been in prison before for
Sponsor,
welfare
actually.
fraud.
I was in jail. I wasn't, and I've made mistakes in my life.
My dad told me I was selling my soul to the devil when I came to her house, and he was right.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Lester versus Lester. Step forward, please.
Marilee and Thomas Lester are suing their daughter, 22-year-old food server Natasha Lester, for the unpaid balance on a '97 Saturn. Natasha claims her parents took the car away from her.
Mr. and Mrs. Lester, this is your daughter. How old are you?
22.
According to your complaint, you co-signed for a car for your daughter about 2 years ago. And the agreement was that she was to make the payments on the car.
Yes, ma'am.
And she did make payments on the car for 2 years.
Yes, ma'am.
And then something happened. She was in an accident. And according to you, she just stopped making payments on the car. She said her insurance lapsed and she stopped making payments on the car. You want the car payments because
Yes, ma'am.
you don't want your credit to be ruined. Your daughter says that she made the payments for 2 years, and I assume that she intended to keep on making the payments, but that you had the car towed from her place of employment to your house, and she no longer has the car.
That is true.
So then I guess a lot of this has to do with timeline, why you're suing your child, I don't even want to get into. But you purchased the car when, Natasha?
In September of 2002.
May I see the paperwork? Do you have the paperwork?
Yes, ma'am.
May I see it, please?
Do you want just the contract or just all of the paperwork? Here's the contract.
Good luck.
Yes, it's very small. It was faxed over.
I couldn't find the original.
What were your payments, Natasha?
$188.57.
And you made the payments from September 2002 until when?
Until August of 2004.
When was the accident?
It was in September of 2004.
And what did you do with the car?
I left it at my place of employment, trying to get it fixed. I had made arrangements with a friend of mine that worked there, and he was going to help me get it fixed.
What was wrong with the car?
I ran over a tire on the freeway, and the extent of the damage, I'm not quite sure exactly. I know the radiator was busted. It was undrivable. I had to have it towed.
And according to your parents, you let the insurance lapse on the car.
Yes, I had.
Why is that?
Just making payments for other things, and I know that I shouldn't have, but it got lapsed. That was on my own fault. I let that happen.
Now, you did in fact tow the car.
Yes.
Yes, I put it on a trailer and took it to my house.
And then you went over to speak to her.
Yes.
Well, tell me about the conversation.
I just asked her how she was doing and what happened, and she's told me she couldn't. She swerved trying to avoid a tire, and then she just kept driving the car because she didn't want to stop. Then I said, well, are you okay? She says, yes, I'm fine.
Okay.
And then I just went back to my work, and I was talking to my guys at work what to do with the car. And I said, well, I'll have to bring it over to my shop and check it out to see what really needs to be done. I had no knowledge that she was going to have anything to do with getting it fixed with anybody over there.
Well, didn't you ask her?
No, I did not at that time.
Why not?
I figured, well, I'll just take it to my house. That way I can take care of it, get it fixed, and we can get it back on the road.
Mr. Lester, you just precipitously took her car away. You can't do that.
The car's still in my name too, ma'am.
You can't do that, sir.
She said that there's no need to make the payments now that the car's wrecked. So she told me.
No, you just made that up as you're going.
No, ma'am. She,
Did you say that to him?
No, I did not.
That's not what you wrote in your complaint, sir. You have the car now?
Yes, it's in the garage.
Very good. So I don't know what you're complaining about. I assume you're fixing it, right?
No, I'm not fixing it.
Well, I suggest you do.
Because I didn't have the money.
I suggest, Mr. Lester, that you fix it because you had a contract with your daughter. And you breached that contract when you towed the car without her consent or permission, without having a discussion with her, back to your home. Now, I don't know what else was going on between you and your daughter, but clearly that's not the way family treats family.
Can I go ahead and say something? After we went ahead and had the car towed to our home, she made no contact whatsoever to go ahead and say, you know, what can I do? I know I didn't make the insurance payments. Why, I mean...
I know I didn't make the car payments.
Didn't make the car payments.
Just a second. Don't say she didn't make the car payments. She did make the car payments. She's not obligated to make the car payments now that you have the car in your possession.
The only reason I towed the car is because my boss, he gets upset when crash vehicles are in his parking lot.
We couldn't leave it in that yard, and she wouldn't
Then you have a discussion with your daughter. You just don't take it.
She was not at work the next day.
Mr. Lester, Mrs. Lester, you got a lot of excuses. I don't know what problem you have with your daughter. It has nothing to do with this car. Your case is dismissed. You have the car. Fix it and sell it. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step back. Now, this is case number 474 on the calendar in the matter of Bankston versus Holtgren. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Miss Bankston, who are these people?
This is April Holtgren,
Poe's daughter and my fiance, Randy.
And who is this?
It's my fiance, Tara Harris.
Everybody brings a fiance. What do they have to do with this case? Anything?
She's seen some stuff and heard some stuff, and other than that, that's about it.
Okay. According to what I read, Miss Bankston, he used to be a friend of yours or a boyfriend of yours?
He used to live with me.
Live with you as a boyfriend?
Yes, ma'am.
And then he went to jail?
No, ma'am. He lived with me after he came out of jail.
What year did you go to jail, sir?
In January '92.
And how old was April in 1992?
7.
Who did she live with?
When I was in jail, she was living with my mom and my dad.
What happened with that?
They died.
When did they die?
In '96, my dad died, and in '98, my mom died.
What happened in 1998?
She went to live with a friend of mine for a little while, and her mother come got her. After that, Mary went and got her out of a motel room.
How old was she at the time, Miss Bankston?
She was 13 when I took her.
How did you find her in a motel room?
She called me and told me she wanted something she hadn't eaten in a few days, and I took her something to eat. And when I got to the motel, it was a bad place for her to be. And so I took her with me, and I raised her until he got out.
When did you get out?
In 2001, October 2001.
Were you in communication with Miss Bankston while your daughter was living with her?
Yes, ma'am.
And what did you tell her in this communication?
Told her I appreciated everything she was doing for her.
Who was supporting her at the time she was living with you?
I was.
When you got out of jail, Mr. Holgren, where did you go?
I moved in with Mary.
Mary and your daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you go to work?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you start supporting the household?
I was pulling my share, ma'am.
What was he paying for?
He was paying like the electric bills, and I paid the house payment because it was my house before he came along, and he paid the electric bill and things like that. He was pulling his weight as long as he lived there. Yes, ma'am.
Did you ever ask Miss Bankstrom how much she spent on your daughter while you were incarcerated?
No.
Why not?
I don't have any idea why I didn't.
Well, this lawsuit's very simple. It said that at some point you used her credit card after you got out of jail while you were living with her. You used her credit card. You told her you would pay for the bills on her credit card, and you didn't. And you owe her some money, $1,100.
Right.
So?
She got me some credit cards off her account, and went and ate on them and done some stuff on them. I took my boy to World Series, Little League World Series up in Oklahoma on a gas card, and other than that, you know, I was paying them until I left.
And so what happened when you left?
I don't know, it wasn't a good scene.
Did you leave with your daughter or without your daughter?
I left without my daughter.
So you left your daughter there?
No, she wasn't living there at the time, I don't think.
Where was she living?
Living at another place.
Where was she living?
She was living with another friend of ours.
Why?
Her and her father did not get along, so she moved out of the house.
Okay. Can I see the charges that he made?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Would you like all the evidence? Or just
sure.
That?
Golden Corral.
That's an eating establishment.
Japanese Palace.
Another eating establishment. I have several eating establishments that we ate at on my credit cards, too.
Well, this is a lot of eating out.
Been 10 years since I ate out anywhere, so we kind of ate out pretty regularly.
So why don't you pay for it?
Well, I really don't feel like I owe her anything on that, because I put a, you know, I done some other things, you know. I wasn't trying to get anything from her that I done over there. I mean, you know.
Well, give me an example, sir.
I put a storage building in her backyard. It was like $900-something bucks. I helped put a central air and heating unit in her house. That was labor on there. I put some electrical work in the garage and stuff.
Well, how much do you think it takes to support a teenager, sir? A month?
Quite a bit.
Listen, you know, if you have a large golden retriever, you can't take care of a large golden retriever for less than $100 a month. So
right.
Would you say it costs $200 a month to take care of a teenager?
At least.
Let's try 3.
Yeah, probably.
14 months, right? And she was there 14 months, and you didn't pay any support, right? So why would you stick her with $1,100 worth of bills?
The bottom line is that it was kind of crazy over there. Just several things that happened, and you know, she wrecked my motorcycle and all that, you know, right there at the end. She wrecked my motorcycle.
She wrecked your motorcycle. I couldn't understand. She wrecked your motorcycle. How'd she do that?
Well, she took off on it and crashed
that he wouldn't even had if I had not financed it for him.
And I was without the motorcycle for 3 months. I paid $500 a month on that while I was in the shop. $6,500 a month.
Well, did she do that on purpose?
Well, I told her not to get on it because she never rode one before, and she took off on it on her own wheel and crashed it. Hurt herself real bad. You know, and then right before I got the motorcycle, I was going to refinance the motorcycle because she kept hounding me about getting it refinanced,
Because
out of
she
her
was on a
name.
loan.
Right. And,
Well, she asked you to refinance it because she didn't want to be on the loan.
Right.
Well,
So
that sounds right to me.
Well, I finally did that, and the day I was
No, he
going
didn't.
the day I was going to refinance it, she called me and told me that she wasn't going to sign off on that loan until I give her $1,000. And I said, well, I ain't give me $1,000. And I went up there and traded it in and got it out of her name anyway.
What a prince. This is your fiancé. Is there anything you want to say to me?
Yeah, do I need to stand up?
You do.
I just have one comment, and that is whenever he went to refinance the motorcycle last year, he got his credit report and got it back, and it was about that thick, where he only had 4 credit cards in his name that he had gotten since they split up. Well, this had 18 open accounts on it.
We're not talking about the charges for those.
I know, but what I'm saying is...
What's your name?
Tara Harris.
Miss Harris, how old are you?
32.
You have children?
1.
How old?
12.
Who supports that child?
Me and him support him, and I get child support.
You get child support from the child's father?
Yes.
Get child support every month?
No, ma'am.
Every week?
No, ma'am.
How often?
Supposed to get it every month.
Yeah, and what happened?
He's been living at my house. He was with his dad. He's been living with us for the last year.
Oh, so before that he was living with his father?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you paying child support
Yes,
to his
ma'am.
father? How often?
Out of every paycheck, weekly.
Now, when you don't get child support from his father, does that annoy you?
Yes, ma'am.
And that child is biologically related to you.
Correct.
And biologically related to his father. How do you feel about somebody who doesn't feel any responsibility to somebody who supports their child for 14 months?
She lived with me for 5 years before he got out.
5 years. And pays for clothes, doctor, shoes, vacation, everything else. And doesn't say, as soon as I get out, I'm going to start paying you back for whatever you laid out, because I know that that's my responsibility. Think that kind of person has good moral fiber?
Actually, I think Bubba does have good moral fiber. He just, you know, he didn't work for 10 years. He didn't have the money.
Well, he does now.
Yes, ma'am, he does, and he
So
greatly
why, just a second.
appreciates.
Just a second. I don't care if he appreciates. You got to put your money where your mouth is, honey. Appreciating is not good enough. How could you say he's got good moral fiber? He's working now. And if his child was supported by a stranger for 5 years, and not only supported by, but nurtured by, stayed with, you know, took care of when she was sick, whatever else, you start paying that back. You start saying that was my obligation. And because I committed a crime doesn't mean that I don't have that obligation. So instead of not paying her support, now, I'm not talking about a year ago or 2 years ago, I'm talking about now. Instead of supporting your child, to whom he is not obligated in any way legally, you should send that money to her. She's not even suing for that money. I would love for her to do that. All she says is he used the credit card, $1,100, and that he should pay. Don't you think he should pay that too? Minimally.
No, I don't think he should pay that credit card debt.
You think he should pay her supporting his daughter?
He's probably, yeah, I would say that he's probably responsible for that.
Well,
I
she's
know
not
that
suing. She's not suing him for that. She says, I took that responsibility on myself, and I'm not even going to pursue that. I just want what he's supposed to pay me on the credit card when he left. You get my drift.
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,100. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I felt he can buy other things. He can buy a new Harley, but he couldn't pay me $1,100 for credit card bills that he charged up.
We're real grateful for her. I mean, I don't know what I've done. If she wouldn't have been there, I don't know where she'd be, you know.
He has somebody else. I have somebody else. We're friends. We have a daughter together.
I'm just glad she's going to get paid so I don't have to hear him argue anymore.
I will never put nobody on my credit cards ever again.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Fournier versus Cratterville, step forward, please.
22-year-old mechanic Timothy Fournier is suing his former live-in girlfriend, 18-year-old Laura Cratterville, for rent and for damage to his property. Laura claims she paid her rent in cash.
Mr. Fournier, the defendant was your girlfriend. You lived together for a while. It is your claim she owes you some money for rent and property that you claim she destroyed of yours. The defendant says that she gave you money every week and that whatever property she had of yours she returned after she received a telephone call from the police. When did you and the defendant move in together? And what kind of property?
We moved into an apartment on September 1st.
In whose name was the lease?
Both of ours.
Have a copy of the lease?
Yes, I do.
Can I see it, please? Mr. Fournier, does your hand always shake, or do I make you a little nervous?
A little both.
No, I just make you nervous. Don't be nervous. It's a Tuesday. I don't do anything really bizarre to litigants until Friday.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I had a very big loan on a truck. What happened is it was taken and burnt.
Your Honor, that's not true. He took it.
You pled guilty to burning the truck?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Timothy Fournier says his ex-girlfriend Laura Cratterville owes for rent and for breaking his PlayStation 2.
All right, so tell me how much money she owes you and from what?
I have her owing half the security deposit and the first and second month's rent that she had never paid me for. And that came up to...
Well, did you get the security deposit back?
No, because of the damages that she had made to the house.
Did you pay any of the rent?
Your Honor, the agreement was I'd give him $100 a week, and from the date we moved in until the date we left, I had given him $100 every week except the last week I gave him $60.
Is that right?
No.
Well, how much did she give you?
$15, $20 here for the odds and ends.
Well, did you keep a record of what she gave you?
Of what she gave me, no.
Well, how am I supposed to figure that out, Mr. Fournier?
I have no idea. But I
Me neither.
But I did not...
Me neither. When two children want to play house and then it doesn't work out, you come into court and you say, here, this is my problem, you figure it out. Well, that's not the way responsible people behave. Did you keep a record?
No, Your Honor.
When did you separate?
The day we moved out, on November 15th.
Tell me about it.
We had gotten to an argument that spawned from an online, me talking online about certain people, and then it spawned into like this big giant argument where insults were thrown back and forth till finally we had decided to break up.
Okay.
And I was planning on leaving, so I called my mother so I could pick up my brother's truck. When I went down there to get my brother's truck, and my dad had met me to help me move all my stuff out. When I got there, the house had been ransacked and the door was left wide open.
Can I see it, please?
The door was not open, and the house was not destroyed, except from what he had taken with him.
And that's what the apartment looked like when we had got back.
You made a mess, madam.
Your Honor,
yes, you did.
The house was a mess before we even
no. You made a mess. You made a mess. Absolutely. What? It looks like all her clothes.
A lot of things would look like they're ransacked and thrown around the house.
That's the way the house always looked.
No.
No, it really did.
Like that. No.
That's the bedroom. We didn't have anything in there but clothes. We didn't have a bed. We didn't have nothing.
Nobody lives like this.
We did,
except maybe a 14-year-old.
We really did.
Well, you should have been neater.
Should have been.
Okay. How did you get out of this lease? I'm curious.
She had signed herself off the lease, so what I had done is I was claiming bankruptcy, so I added that to my bankruptcy.
Why were you claiming bankruptcy?
I put myself into a lot of debt.
How old are you?
22.
How did you put yourself in so much debt that at your age you have to declare a bankruptcy?
I was charged with burning my truck and attempting to fraud. So then when I pled out, I couldn't claim it, so.
You're going to have to be more specific with me, sir. You're being very
I
circumspect.
had a very big loan on a truck, and then what happened is it was taken and burnt. And
Your Honor, that's not true. He took it.
You had a truck that was on a lease,
yes,
and you owed a lot of money on it,
yes,
and it broke down.
no, it was crashed and burned.
You were charged with it, and you pled guilty to burning the truck?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Okay. And then you had to make restitution
Yes,
for the truck. And how much did you owe?
I owed 18 on the truck, 18,000.
So you stuck the leasing company with $18,000.
Well, yeah, I mean, I claimed
What do you mean, well,
bankruptcy.
yeah?
I mean, they came after me and I went bankrupt.
What do you think? You think somebody comes down and gives the leasing company $18,000? When you declare bankruptcy, if you own somebody a debt and you declare bankruptcy, what that means is that they're now stuck with a truck that you burned.
Yeah.
Who advised you to do that? Your father? You didn't advise him to do that, did you?
Nope.
I should hope not. So what you're telling me, sir, is what you did was you decided to lump the whole thing together. That when you declared bankruptcy for this truck, you also lumped together the broken lease.
Yeah.
And you expect sympathy from me, is what I'm asking you.
No, I'm not expecting sympathy.
Ah, perfect. Good. All right. So what property do you claim she took or destroyed?
She had taken my PlayStation 2 that night.
Good. Now, she says in her answer that she returned it to you.
She did, but it came back broken.
Where did you get the PlayStation 2 from?
Sears.
And you put it on your credit card?
Yes.
You declare bankruptcy on that credit card, too?
Yes.
Get out of here. Is he playing with a full deck?
Yes.
Does he not understand a concept of morality?
Yes, he does.
Well, it's not evident here, sir. He took advantage of Sears by lumping them into his bankruptcy rather than paying off the credit card. And now you're suing her because you want the money. I assume if I give you the money for the PlayStation that you broke, you're going to give it to Sears, right?
No.
Get out of here. Oh, goodbye. Have a happy life. Dad, you got a lot of work to do. He's 22. Maybe still salvageable. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out. That's case number 437 on the calendar in the matter of Mohajer versus Ramos. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, sir.
Mr. Mohajer, according to your complaint, sir, you and the defendant had a relationship and have a child together.
Yes, Your Honor.
And while you were together several years ago, Ms. Ramos didn't have sufficient credit to secure a credit card in her own name. You agreed to get one for her, and the condition was that she would make the payments on the card. You and the defendant were living together at the time, and when you broke up, she stopped making payments on the credit card, leaving you a balance of almost $2,000. You want her to make those payments.
Yes.
Plus, you have a complaint against her for harassment, which I will give you about 30 seconds to talk to me about. Ms. Ramos says that she spent a fortune of money on daycare for your son, that you finally were ordered to pay child support. She hasn't seen any child support from you since the order was made in November. That's her defense. When did you live together? From when to when?
As of December 2002, all the way till July of 2004.
And when was your son born?
December 2002, on the 30th.
And when did you get this credit card?
Back of August 2003.
And from August of 2003 until you separated in July of 2004, who paid for that credit card?
She did.
Solely.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
When did you stop making payments on the card, Ms. Ramos?
I stopped making payments after August 10th was my last payment.
Why?
I don't owe him anything anymore. We are not together anymore, and I've paid over $9,000 in daycare. He has not helped me out in any way with my son, even when we lived together.
Well, Ms. Ramos, you originally had an agreement with him, and your agreement with him provided that if he got you a credit card, you would make the payments. Because you had made the payments, according to you. You'd made the payments until August of 2004. That's what you said.
I never asked him to apply for the credit card.
That's not the
He was
issue.
never helping out. He said, I got this card for you. Since I can't help you out with groceries or clothes or anything else, we'll use the credit card and we'll pay half and half every month. That was the agreement. I did not ask him to apply for the card.
So is what you're telling me that you were each paying on this credit card?
No, I ended up paying it because he's his car salesman and he never made enough money. He only had enough money to pay for his new boat. He didn't make that much money.
Who did you live with?
We lived with him and his father and his aunt. And
so you lived in his home?
Yes, with his family.
Who paid rent?
Often he would pay $500 a month to his father, but he didn't pay every month.
Your Honor, I have text
Just
showing
a second. Making excuses, Ms. Ramos. If you made payments on this credit card from the time you got it in 2003 until August of 2004, then that supports the plaintiff's statement that you agreed to make payments on this credit card.
The charges on the credit card were purchases that were made for myself, for him, and my son. All the stuff was stuff for the three of us. That was when we were together, and now that we're not together, I don't see how he can come back and sue me for stuff.
Let me see the bills on the credit card, please. While you were living with the plaintiff, what other household expenses did you pay for?
I got the groceries.
Okay.
And the clothes for my son, and the bottles, and the formula, and all that stuff on the credit card, and I paid it every month.
Okay.
I paid for daycare.
Just a minute. What are these charges for American Furniture Mart in Dallas, 363? What is that?
That was furniture when I needed to move out from his home. I had to buy furniture for my new apartment with me and my son.
So you expect him to pay for that?
I actually made a payment after that on August 10th for $400 to cover that.
Well, that doesn't cover the $306 and $363.
What's the other one?
Supercenter.
Groceries and stuff for our new apartment. I had to get out. It was a very bad situation.
Well, that doesn't mean he pays for it. That's what happens when you're not married. Bad situation, you have to move out.
I would trade in to pay $500 a month any day over paying the daycare, the bills, the grocery, and all that stuff.
Listen, Miss Ramos, you went to family court to get an order of support?
Yes, we did.
And you've gotten an order of support. An order of support was made by the family court in November. Have you paid that award?
Yes, I have indication letter here showing my child support that I paid. Her lawyer failed to get an account number
May I see it, please?
set up, so the checks that I sent were sent back. And I had to beg and plead with my lawyer to get a hold of her lawyer, but her lawyer would refuse to contact us back. So I finally received a letter on January the 8th showing that finally they set up an account number. So, and the checks were mailed out actually about a week ago.
Your Honor, I have where they now are going to garnish his wages because he has not made those payments.
And she'll be receiving those, they said, within the end of the week, if not first of next week.
I believe he sent them. I believe he sent
And
them.
I also have where he enrolled his son in the daycare where he's currently at and has not helped pay for it at all.
I have check deposits showing that I made a deposit when he was enrolled, Your Honor.
A deposit of $200 when I pay $800 a month every month. It's come out of my account.
Just a second.
And I have the Chase account.
Listen to me. Ms. Ramos, when you were together, who made more money?
I did.
You are going to pay more money for support for this child than he is if you make more money than he does. That's no question about that. That's just the way things are. But you had an agreement with him. And your agreement with him, based upon the evidence, based upon the course of conduct, was you were going to pay this credit card, and you used it as if it were your own. And I can tell you that because after you left, you continued to use this credit card for things that you needed.
For me and my son. Mm-hmm.
Well, he's not responsible for you. He's not your husband. You chose to have a child with him.
I don't deny that I didn't make the charges. I know that I made the charges.
Well, you made the charges, and you made the charges at a time.
He owes me more than I owe him
Then
as
you
far
have
as
to sue.
daycare.
Then you have to sue it. No. Listen to me.
He enrolled him in the
raised
daycare. Let me show you the enrollment.
No, Miss Ramos, you're not following me. Miss Ramos, the court made an order of support. The order of support was what the court believed was consistent with your individual income and the needs of the child. You have a right to appeal that judgment if you like, but what you cannot do is resort to self-help and say, well, I didn't get what I wanted in the child support hearing, therefore I'm not going to pay this credit card anymore, when you made an agreement with him to pay the credit card and you used the credit card as if it was your own. And you did use the credit card as if it was your own because you used it after you moved out of his home to buy things for your new home.
But it's not $1,700 in charges. The other charges were stuff when we were together and stuff for the three of us.
And what I'm
the
telling
agreement was we were both going to pay for that stuff.
No, and I don't believe that. I believe that he paid for certain things. And now I'm speaking. Hey, I'm speaking. I believe that he paid for certain things in the house, and you paid for certain things in the house. He paid the rent, and I assume he paid other fixed expenses, and you paid for food, and you paid for clothing for the child, and you paid for the daycare.
So he's paid nothing for his son.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,800. That's all. I see I'm not getting to you. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I think he's very jealous. We just separated, and now that I've moved on, I've gotten married.
She's a teacher. She's teaching fellow kids out there this kind of responsibility. It's kind of sad.
He hasn't helped at all.
The only reason she left because I gave him too much attention, didn't give her enough attention.
It's like super dad, you know? He gets all the benefits of being a father. He gets to see him half the time, and then doesn't have to pay a dime. Let's be nice.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Johnson versus Simon. Step forward.
Operator Sharon Johnson is suing her daughter, 26-year-old homemaker Celicia Simon, for an unpaid loan when she fell on hard times. Sharon claims Celicia is trying to call it a gift.
Miss Johnson, this is your daughter, and it is your claim that she owes you for some rent when she lived with you for 3 months.
Yes, ma'am.
And also a loan of $2,500. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Quite frankly, Miss Johnson, I'm not so interested in the rent that you claim she owes you for the 3 months that she lived there. You indicate in your complaint that your daughter and her children needed a place to live. They moved in with you. She agreed to give you $300 a month. She didn't have it at the time. She stayed with you for 3 months. That's $900. And subsequently, you all decided that it would be best if she and her children had their own place to live. She needed rent, first lesson, security. I don't know what it was. So you gave her $2,500. According to you, it was a loan. I'm going to stick with the $2,500 because when your daughter and her children need a place to live, you don't say, you have no money, but I'm going to charge you $300 for rent. You'll give it to me when you have it. That's not what a mother does. Do we understand each other, Miss Johnson?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. So now let's deal with the $2,500 loan. Tell me when you gave her the loan and what it was for.
I gave her the loan at the end of November of '03, and it was for to help with either a down payment or something concerning on a place that her children and her husband were going to move into.
When she was living with you, was her husband living with you also?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you have a house?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
How large a house is it?
It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath.
And it was just you living there?
No, ma'am.
Who else lives there?
Myself, my husband, and my 2 sons.
You work?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Your husband works?
Yes, ma'am, he does.
What about your 2 sons?
One of them is in college, the other one is working.
Okay. How many children do you have?
I have 2.
And why did you have to move in with your mother?
I fell upon hard times. I lost my job.
And what about your husband? Did he lose his job too?
He was in between jobs.
What kind of work do you do?
I do phlebotomy work. I draw blood.
And he?
He's a crew member at a fast food restaurant.
How old are your children?
I have a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old.
How long have you been married?
I've been married 3.5 years.
Okay, your mother gave you $2,500, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you discuss with her paying her back?
No, ma'am.
That's not true.
Go ahead.
Before I loaned her the money, things were getting tight at the house, and she said she had found a place. Could she borrow some money? I asked her how much. She said $2,500. I said, okay, well, how are you going to pay me? She said, well, Mom, you know, I'll get my income tax check in February, and I'll pay you then. I said, okay. And then a few days later, I went to the bank, got a cashier's check, and loaned her the money.
Did she get her income tax check?
She said she did.
When was the first time you asked her for this money back?
It was in March, because February, she wasn't returning any calls to me.
Tell me about the conversation.
Well, when I caught up with her, I said, CC, where's my money? Mom, I'm going to go in and give you the $900 back. No. Where's all my money? I want my $900 and I also want my $2,500. $2,500? I thought that was a Christmas gift. I don't think so. I can't just give away $2,500. And so it was like, but Mommy, no, I don't remember. I remember us making an agreement. You and I, your husband stay in the background like you always do, since he's always on a vacation. So when are you going to give my money? I'll talk to you later on. And when she hung up, that teed me off. So then I tried to take it to court.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Over the course of time, I have given loans, spent loads and loads of money on my children. I would never, ever sue them. Never.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Sharon Johnson says her daughter, Celicia Simon, owes for a loan to pay her bills. Celicia insists the money was a gift.
You have 2 brothers.
Yes, ma'am.
You know that your mother gave them Christmas presents?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you discuss that with your brothers?
Yeah, like, you know, just when brothers and sisters get together and they discuss
Well, what did you talk to them about?
Well, my brothers, one of them was getting a car, and then one of them was getting, like, screens in his car and the big rims on his car or whatever. So it was just like, you know, I'm going to get back on my feet by getting into my own place. And my one brother would have transportation so he could get a better job, and the other brother, he's the youngest and the most spoiled.
Well, Miss Simon, what I believe is that you acknowledge that you owed your mother $900 for rent, right?
I think that I was thankful for my mother giving me and my family a place to stay. I wasn't able to compensate her.
What your mother said was, when she spoke to you, you said to her, well, I know, Mom, I know I owe you the $900.
I mean, she was calling Your Honor, you don't
No,
understand.
no, no, I understand. I don't think that that's something that you have to call for, but if you acknowledge that you owed her the $900 and you did get your income tax refund, which is what she was waiting for, why didn't you give her back the $900?
It was a tight situation, which is why I, needed help in the first place. My family was just in a very bad spot.
Well, then why didn't you call her and say to her, Mom, I know I promised to give you the money back when I got my tax refund, but things are pretty tight. Why did you wait for her to call you?
She knew I was in a bad situation. I didn't feel like I should have to go to her and explain to her, hey, a couple months later, I'm still in a tight situation. I still can't give you any money.
Why, is your mother rich?
No, she's not rich.
She's not rich. How old are you?
I'm 26.
You have 2 children, you have
Yes,
a husband, you have a home, you're an independent person. That means you have to act like a grown-up.
Yes, ma'am.
So if you borrow money from somebody and you acknowledge at least the $900, then if you can't pay them back, the time when you say you're going to pay them back, you pick up the phone and say, I know I said I could pay you back. Can I get a little bit of an extension? Can I give you back something? Can I give you $100?
It became such a big thing that, like, at family gatherings or whatever, it just always wound up being a big argument. She continued to make a huge scene about it every time we got together at family.
Miss Simon.
Yes, ma'am.
Has your mother always been like that? Oh, yes. The question is yes or no.
Yes,
Has she always been like that?
Yes, ma'am.
Then you shouldn't have borrowed money from her.
I didn't borrow money from her. I told her I needed help.
No. You acknowledge that you owed her at least $900. And if you know that that's the way she is about money, you shouldn't have taken other money from her.
That's how bad I needed it. I mean, it was the last option. I couldn't continue to be there in her house. I didn't want to take my family, to a shelter.
Well, what was your husband doing?
He was working.
Was he working 5 days a week?
Not always.
Is he working now?
Yes, ma'am.
5 days a week?
Yes, ma'am.
And what about you?
I'm a homemaker. I take care of my 2 children.
I just asked you what kind of work you did, and you told me that you drew blood.
Yes, ma'am. I just recently lost a child, so I haven't been working. When I found out I was pregnant at the beginning of the school year, I decided to take the school year off just to be at home a little more with the kids and everything, and also because I was pregnant, and I just recently lost my child.
You're not supposed to have more children until you can support the ones you have. Does that sound harsh to you?
No, ma'am.
I hope not. I mean, I'm telling you this because I think that sometimes people lose sight of that. That if you have 2 children and you have to go back to your mother for money, then you don't make more babies. Having children is very nice as long as you can take care of them. Your mother's not a rich lady, but you can't look at your siblings and say, because they got Christmas presents, I should have gotten one too.
But she's not taking any of them to court. She's taking me to court. I'm the only girl. Those are her precious boys, They got money to go and get a car, to go and get screens in his car. I mean, when I was that age, she wasn't giving me money to go put screens in my car.
I don't think that your mother...
I know she can do what she wants with her money.
Yes, I don't think that your mother would say that this was a loan unless she honestly believed that this $2,500 that she gave you was money that you were supposed to return. I think that you've been, for want of a better term, and I don't necessarily like this term, I don't think that you can allow your jealousy of your younger brothers to interfere with the rest of your life. If you feel as if your mother favors the 2 boys...
She does.
Well, I don't know whether you were a more difficult child, a less difficult child, who knows? But you will find that during the course of your life there will ebb and flow with regard to which of your children you like better than others. You may love them all, but at various times in their lives you will like some better than others. Fair?
Fair.
Love them all. Yeah. But at various times, depending upon what they do, to drive you crazy, to make you gray, you will like one more than another. You can't let that interfere with your whole life. Ms. Johnson, I'm going to award you your $2,500 for this loan that you gave your daughter, but I'm going to give you a little lecture at the same time. Over the course of time, I suppose I have given, loaned, spent, whatever, loads and loads of money on my children. I would never, ever sue them in a court. Never. That's not what parents do to their children, unless the children are really, really bad people And your daughter may have made some mistakes in her life, but she doesn't seem like a bad person. She's reasonably articulate. She's been in a relationship with her husband for a long time. She has 2 children. This is the husband, right?
Yes.
Well, you may not like him. You may not like him, but I want to tell you something. You didn't like your first husband either. Right?
No, I didn't.
Right?
Yes,
so you
ma'am.
made a mistake.
Yes, ma'am.
So she doesn't seem like a bad girl. And I'm telling you that while I'm giving you a judgment for $2,500, I think you made a big mistake by suing her. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Now, this is case number 475 on the calendar in the matter of Martin versus Hall. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Mr. Martin, it is your claim that the defendants, this gentleman in particular, caused damage to your car in an accident, and the accident was his fault. Mr. Hall says that it was your fault, and you don't know why, anyway, that you're suing him because he wasn't driving. It was Miss
Hall
who was driving the car. So you must have not been watching carefully.
Apparently.
When did this incident happen?
September 17th.
Where were you?
I was in Maitland, Florida, turning into a gas station.
What happened, Mr. Martin?
I was turning into the gas station to buy gas, and I seen the Halls coming at a very high rate of speed through the parking lot, so I stopped.
Through the parking lot or through the gas station?
Into the parking lot of the gas station.
There's a chart over there that the Halls brought. Is the red car yours?
That's similar to what happened.
Where were you coming from?
I was coming from the north, turning in just like that shows, and I stopped, and he come crashing into me. He was driving probably about 45 miles an hour through that parking lot.
Okay. What kind of a car were you driving, sir?
Mazda 626.
And where was the car hit?
Right in the passenger side in the front. Knocked the bumper
Do you have a
completely off.
photograph?
Yes, ma'am.
May I see it, please?
Sure.
Is there damage to the hood?
The bumper was knocked completely off in the hood, and all the lights were knocked out in the grill.
All right, now what happened after the collision, sir?
After the collision, I started to call the police, and Mr. Hall came over and said, "I'm sorry, I didn't see you. Please don't call the police. I'll have someone take care of your car for you." But my car was not drivable. So I proceeded with calling the police, and then I observed Mr. Hall removing the license plate from the car.
From whose car?
From his car. So when
Yes.
the police got there, I told him that he had taken the license plate off of the car and put it in the trunk. He went and found it, and then they claimed that Mrs. Hall was driving, but that is definitely not the case. So the police officer ticketed him for removing the tag from the car because that tag did not belong to their car, and then ticketed her for driving with no insurance and for careless and reckless driving.
On their statement that it was Mrs. Hall who was driving.
That's what they're claiming, yes.
But it wasn't Mrs. Hall who was driving.
No, ma'am.
It was Mr. Hall.
Mr. Hall was driving. And on page 2 is the correct diagram. It's very similar to that, but it shows my car in a straight line, not in an angle like that.
Why did you take the plate off the car, Mr. Hall?
Because the plate did not belong to that car, Your Honor.
Why not?
Because we put it on the car to transport the car to a sale lot to put the car up for sale.
Well, where were you coming from, Mr. Hall?
We were going from our residence to the gas station. We were putting gas into the vehicle and then taking the vehicle up to put it up for sale.
Where were you taking it to put it up for sale?
Literally 2 blocks away from there, which is also just a couple blocks away from our residence, Your Honor.
Well, Mr. Hall, that doesn't make sense, sir. It doesn't make sense that why you would be putting gas in a car to take it to a place for 2 blocks.
Because it was on dead E, and we're afraid the vehicle would run out if someone was to test drive it, Your Honor.
Oh. When did you buy this car, sir?
A few weeks before that, Your Honor.
From whom?
I
You're
don't
looking
remember.
down at your feet, sir.
I don't remember the name, the gentleman's name, Your Honor.
Did you have a bill of sale for it?
No, ma'am, not on me.
Did you have it then?
No, ma'am, I did not.
You're pretty slippery, sir. Show me where your car was hit, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Which is your car?
The blue car, Your Honor, is our car.
Right. I got it.
And our car was hit
Now.
right where the highlighted spot is.
I see it. But you passed the gas tank, sir. Did you put gas in the car already?
Yes, ma'am.
Who put the gas in the car?
I believe I did. And I ran
I want
inside.
you to think. I want you to think. Who put the gas in the car?
I put in the gas, Your Honor.
Do you have a license to drive a car?
I do, yes, ma'am.
Did you then?
It was suspended, Your Honor.
So the answer is you did not have a license to drive then.
No, ma'am.
So you had no license, no registration, no insurance.
Yes, ma'am.
So there would have been a good reason for you to lie to the police and tell them that your wife was driving when you were driving. There would have been a reason and a motive, because you would have been taken in
There would
if you
have
were
been.
driving on a suspended license. Isn't that correct, sir?
Yes, there's also a reason why I let her drive, because she is legal and not suspended.
Listen to me very carefully, sir. On your best day, you're not as smart as I am on my dumbest day.
I understand, Your Honor.
Good. My question to you was, there was a reason for you to lie to the police, to tell them that your wife was driving the car. There would have been a reason, because you had already had your license suspended, right?
Yes, ma'am.
For what?
For not paying a seatbelt ticket, Your Honor.
Baloney. Now, where did you get the license plate from, sir, that you put on this car?
From one of our other vehicles.
How many other vehicles do you have?
2, Your Honor.
Who insures them?
My wife and I do.
With what company?
Progressive, I'm sorry.
And were the other 2 vehicles insured at the time of this accident with Progressive?
Yes, ma'am.
Why was... What?
Excuse me, Your Honor. May not have been with Progressive. Progressive is our current one, I believe.
Well, why don't you tell me, sir, because it's very easy to check. Why don't you tell me, what was the other company that you were with back in September that insured your other 2 cars?
I don't recall the insurance company off the top of my name, Your Honor.
Off the top of your name, you don't...
Off the top of my head, I'm sorry.
You don't.
I'm nervous.
You're nervous because you're lying, sir. And you know that I'm going to be able to prove that. Before the police arrived, when you took the plate off the car and put it in the trunk, what did you hope to accomplish by that, sir?
Avoiding the ticket for attaching tag not assigned, Your Honor.
Now, don't you get a ticket for driving without tags, period?
Yes, Your Honor.
So what would be the difference in putting the tags in the trunk? You were going to get a ticket either way, either for driving with no tags or for driving with somebody else's tags on your car. So what difference did it make?
None. Except to try keep him from getting a ticket.
Well, don't you think people get tickets, sir, when they drive without license plates?
Yes, Your Honor.
Because that's why you supposedly took the license plate off one car and put it on another, so you wouldn't get a ticket,
Yes,
right?
Your Honor.
So that doesn't make sense to me. What did the police do with that license plate, sir?
They confiscated it, Your Honor.
And what did you do with the car from where the license plate had been removed?
The vehicle stayed right where it was, Your Honor.
And where is it to this day, sir?
In our driveway, Your Honor.
Without license plates?
It has been licensed and insured.
How did you get new license plates for it?
I just applied for a new plate, Your Honor.
You have to say what happened to the old plate, sir, if the car had been registered.
The vehicle hadn't been registered in our name prior to that, Your Honor.
Oh, so you had yet another car in your arsenal of cars that hadn't been registered in your name at the same date that you had this accident.
It's a vehicle that my sister allowed for us to drive because we didn't have a dependable vehicle at the time to drive, Your
Well,
Honor.
what about the third car that you had home, sir?
It wasn't.
Vehicle.
What?
It's a work vehicle.
What is a work vehicle? What does that mean?
It's a truck that we use to do landscaping and lawn maintenance that
So?
pulls a trailer. And it's decaled up, and insurance will not cover that if we are in an accident when we are not working.
Okay, so we're going to do this. We're going to play. At the time of this accident on the 17th of September, 2004, who had a driver's license? Raise your hand. The time of this accident on September 17th, 2004, who had a registered vehicle? On September 17th, 2004, who had a vehicle with appropriate tags on it? On September 17th, 2004, who was driving a car illegally? Good! Perfect. Okay. Shooting fish in a barrel. Can I see the estimate for your car, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
What a bunch of hustlers. Not you, Mr. Martin.
I also have, Your Honor, a letter from the Halls stating that Mrs. Hall is guilty of this charge because we originally had an agreement for the Halls to pay me $400 a month beginning on November the 10th. And I know you're not going to believe this, but that didn't happen.
The only thing that I don't believe, sir, is that you believed them, that it was going to happen.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
When we separated, we were not on talking terms. I needed money.
So you claimed the children as your deduction, even though he supported them?
Yes, ma'am.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Rick Martin says fellow motorists Jennifer and Dennis Hall ran into him in a gas station parking lot. Rick claims Dennis was the driver, but after the accident, he switched places with his wife.
I have a net total of $2,966.35. Is that your estimate?
That's the estimate to fix the rest of the damage. I've already spent over $2,000.
You have those bills?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see them, please.
In those estimates, Your Honor, he's also trying to recoup, he's trying to double charge for repairs that he made once originally on his first repair bill.
And I have a listing of those if you'd like to see
And
it.
then he's trying to get the same repairs covered again on his estimate he previously handed
Are you trying to do that, sir?
No, ma'am.
Did you have a deductible on the car?
I had only liability. I did not have full coverage on the car because it's paid for.
Okay, what did Allstate pay you?
Allstate only paid the tow bills. And I tried to relay that message to the Halls, but they would not return any of my calls to find that out. So.
They wanted you to go away, like their license plates.
Yes.
Your Honor, he when he originally showed up at our doorstep, he was demanding the $14.95 and repayment as well as new headlights.
So how much, just a second, so how much did you give him, Mr. Hall?
I gave him $0.
Well, now you're going to give him $4,834. Judgment for the plaintiff, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
The first thing I thought was they were going to drive away.
We like to buy and sell vehicles, and my husband was in the back seat.
I didn't ask him what he was doing. I took a photograph of the license plate. I could still tell you the number of that license plate right now.
When the gentleman hit us, my husband bounded out of the back seat driver's side, and of course everybody thought he was getting out of the driver's seat.
I think that they're professional con men or deadbeats. I don't know.
When Jennifer asked to see some type of receipts or anything, he didn't provide any. Instead, he just went and got additional estimates and came up with this claim with that.
When I went to his house, he told me that I was not the first person that he ran into. That would be why he doesn't have a driver's license.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Conger versus Tates, step forward, please.
Plaintiffs Chuck and Karen Conger are suing the father of their grandchild, roofer Jeremiah Tates, for the cost to fix a '97 Ford Escort. The Congers claim Jeremiah's driving caused the transmission to blow.
Mrs. Conger, you have a daughter whose name is Brenda.
Correct.
Let me guess, Brenda.
Yes.
Your stepdaughter.
Yes, ma'am.
And this is a convoluted story of a car, a 1997 car, that was purchased for your daughter and the defendant, her then boyfriend and father of the two children. And the arrangement was that the two of them would pay you back for the car.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then they had an off-again, on-again kind of arrangement. And at some point, Mr. Tates took the car with your daughter's permission because she got a new car.
Mm-hmm.
And he was driving the car and making the payments.
Yep.
April Franks is suing Angela and Jean Roberts for the return of money she paid for a female Yorkie poo. April says the couple sold her an emotionally damaged animal.
Bert, would you please take the Roberts' little girl outside, please?
Certainly.
Thank you.
Come with me.
Miss Franks, you purchased a dog, I assume this dog, from the defendants.
Yes.
You called them within 24 hours telling them that the dog had some problems. You wanted to return the dog. You ultimately did return the dog. You want your money back.
Yes.
The Roberts seem to believe that they had no responsibility with regard to the dog's condition that you found that was intolerable for you. And they said that they sold the dog, I assume, as is. This is what you get. Mrs. Roberts.
From a breeder in Tupelo.
A breeder?
Yes, ma'am.
When?
It was the end of November, 2007.
Do you have the date?
Not the exact date.
Was it after Thanksgiving?
Yes, ma'am.
So let's give it a date of the 28th of November. I assume you bought the dog because you have one young child?
Yes, ma'am.
Did she go with you to the breeder?
No, ma'am.
You and your husband went?
Just my husband.
You went?
Yes, ma'am.
How many dogs did the breeder have for sale?
I have no idea how many he had to sell. I think 2. And this is the
How many did you see?
I met him in a town in between where we lived, and he just brought Carly here.
So you didn't go to the breeder's house?
No, ma'am.
So you don't know where he got the dog from?
No, ma'am.
Did you find this person on the internet?
No, in an ad in the trade winds paper, or sales paper that we have in our area.
And he told you he had a dog?
Right.
And don't come to my house, I'll meet you halfway, or I'll meet you someplace.
Right.
And they gave you the dog. Did he tell you how old the dog was?
Yes, ma'am.
How old did he say?
At the time, she was 18 months.
And how much did you pay for this 18-month-old dog?
$200.
Did he say why he was selling an 18-month-old dog?
No, he didn't.
Did you discuss this with your wife before you went?
I spoke to the gentleman on the phone about her.
And what did the gentleman, I'm just curious, so even though I'm not taking this for the truth of it, I'd like to know what the gentleman told you about this dog.
He told me that he had 31 dogs, and he was trying to downsize on some of his dogs, and that she had already been bred once, and she had 6 puppies at the time, and he thought it was too many for her, and he was going to sell her and her sister. And he was originally trying to sell both of the dogs, her and her sister. I do not know anything about the other dog. And I told him that we were only interested in buying 1 dog instead of 2, and he said that he would split them up and sell her to us. And we did discuss whether to come to his house or not, but he decided that he...
He didn't want you at the house if it's in fact true that he had 31 dogs.
Probably.
Probably. Did he want cash or a check?
We just gave him cash. That's all we had.
Of course. So you gave him cash, and then you bring the dog home, and what happened, Miss Roberts?
She was a nervous dog. She shook for probably the first month we owned her.
1 month she shook?
Yes, ma'am. And after about a month, when we were around her, she stopped shaking. But the only thing that she ever did the entire time we've ever had her is just sit in your lap. Even after sitting in your lap for a long period of time, she wouldn't indicate that she would want to get down and go eat. We'd have to take her back there to the room we keep her in at night, and she'd eat and take care of her business, and then after that she would scratch on the door, give a little bit of a whining whimper, and want to come out and sit back in your lap again. We tried to get her to play because we did buy her for my 9-year-old. She wanted a little dog to play with. And she's just not a playful dog. She's just a lap dog. So
she's probably from a puppy mill.
Well, when we took her to the vet, that's what he said. He said that either being in a kennel, he said either being in a kennel,
caged in a kennel, and probably came from a puppy mill.
Yes.
So what did you do?
Well, we held on to her for a little bit longer, hoping that maybe she would come out of her shell a little bit and play. And when we were convinced after about 3 months of owning her, she was not ever going to be the playful dog for our daughter
that we thought. So now she's almost 2 years old.
Yes, ma'am. And after that, we decided that what we would do was try to sell her so that we could take that money and buy a playful puppy for my child.
So you put an ad in the paper?
Yes, ma'am.
And what did the ad say?
It's right here.
What does it say?
Says, CKC Yorkie Poo female, small dog, approximately 1.5 years old, 5 to 6 pounds, good health, mostly house trained, 400. Call my husband and our phone number listed.
That's not the ad that I responded to.
Can I see the ad that you responded
to? Yes, it's right here.
to?
It's highlighted in pink. I was in Columbus only.
Shh. Yorkie Poo, CKC, I don't know what that means because they're not AKC registered because she's a mixed breed.
Yes, ma'am. It's Continental Kennel Club.
Approximately 1 year old.
Which she's approximately.
Shh. Do I look like I'm needing help from you?
No.
Approximately 1 year old, mostly housebroken, good health, small, 5 to 6 pounds, $400. Ask for Jean. Is that you?
That's my husband.
That's you. Well, that's the ad. Trade Winds Classified.
This one is the Trading Post. We did take one out in the Trading Post and the Trade Winds.
This is the one she responded to. So immediately your ad is wrong because the dog was not a year old.
I guess so.
And you were asking for this dog that is now older and you know has certain problems twice as much as what you paid for it.
Correct.
Okay. So you came to the house and?
I went to their house. Carly was sitting in a recliner. She didn't get up or anything when I walked in. She got her and she put on the ground on the floor and she walked around and I oohed and awed over for a few minutes. She was shaking and Angie told me it was because, you know, she didn't like strangers is what she said. And so, you know, I said, okay, you know, that could be possible. And I petted her and picked her up and I said that I wanted to get her. And so I left her house. I went to the ATM machine and I withdrew $400 and I went right back and I gave her the money when I got back. She had the CKC certification paper, her pamper pads because she's not housebroken or mostly at all, and a doggy soap.
Just 1 second. Are you telling me that you had this dog for 3 months and the dog wasn't housebroken.
She's puppy pad trained, which I consider mostly housebroken because she only goes on the puppy pads.
No. It's probably one of the reasons that you wanted out of the dog, because the dog was a puppy mill dog. The dog was not used to being in a house and being let out. Yeah, sure it is. Okay, you returned the dog when?
That evening after I left, I went to Walmart and I bought food for her. I bought her a bed and some toys. And, you know, the night progressed and she just wasn't acting like I thought she would act. I'm not a professional. So the next morning, I said the best thing I'm going to do is take Carly to the vet. So I took her to the vet, which the office where Amy works, and the vet examined the dog, and I have an animal report here.
I'd like to see it, please.
As well as the invoice.
On February 26, 2008, I examined the above-listed animal because of a complaint of severe emotional issues. The animal would crouch down in the corner and urinate all over itself when touched. It was my opinion that the animal was experiencing fear, anxiety, and the owner would be better off returning the animal to the previous owner. Animals exhibiting such fear, anxiety have special needs that the average pet owner usually is unable to give.
The time we took the dog to the vet was after the fact that April returned her.
They just took the dog to the vet.
Shh. You mean you never took the dog to the vet when you got her?
She never urinated on herself or crouched down in the corner.
I'm just asking you why you never took the dog to the vet.
No, ma'am.
Have either of you ever had pets before?
We have quite a few.
Well, then you knew that this dog's behavior was most unusual.
I was told by several other people, we've never had a small dog like this before.
Right. You have to give her her money back. Stop nonsense. You try to unload the dog on somebody else for twice as much as what you paid for it. I mean, usually when a breeder wants to unload an 18-month-old or a 19-month-old dog, they usually give them away to try to find good homes. This guy found a sucker who was willing to pay $200 for it. That doesn't mean that you, when you have the dog, I mean, you're supposed to be reputable people. I don't know about this person who's running a puppy mill, but you're supposed to be reputable people. That means that you got stuck. I'm going to find somebody else to stick with this dog and charge him twice as much.
Right.
That's outrageous. You have the dog? Give her back the papers, please. You owe her $400. That's all.
David Yanas claims fellow clubgoer Travis Pexey vandalized his car with a crowbar. Travis claims David threatened to shoot him.
Mr. Yanas, it is your claim that the defendant, after a night of drinking, are you smiling for a reason?
Oh, no.
Good. Damaged your car, attacked your car. You want him to pay for the damage. Mr. Pexey says that you actually attacked him and ran him over with your car. He was just protecting himself. So why don't you tell me your version of the events? First, when did it happen?
It happened in Saddle Ranch on Saturday, the 13th of February. And what happened was when we were walking, after the club was closed at 2 o'clock, we were walking to the parking lot.
Who's we?
Me and my friend Scott.
So tell me what happened as you were leaving the club.
Okay, so when I was walking towards the car, Travis bumped into me. And when I said, like, you know...
Did you know him before?
No, I didn't know him. That was the first time I ever seen him. He bumped into me, and he just started, like, cussing at me, like, saying, you know, what the F, and this, what's your problem? And I was like, what? And, you know, I'm way bigger than Travis. I was like, man, get out of my face. So then he walked up to me even more aggressive towards me. So when he walked up towards me, I didn't want to hit him. So I grabbed him in a headlock, and I was holding him in a headlock, and then one of his friends were coming up to me. And I was like, you know, it was me by myself at the time because I didn't see my friends there. I was like, man, tell your friend to get back. So when I was holding him...
Are you thirsty already?
Sorry. When I was holding, I told his friend, get back. You know what I mean? I was like, I don't want to start anything with you guys, get back. So that's when Scott showed up, my witness right here. He showed up, and he's like, come on, man, let's get out of here. So I pushed Travis towards his friend, and that's when the other guy, Andy, came, and he was like, come on, let's go, it's not worth it. So I was like, all right, let's get out of here. So I sat in the back seat, Scott sat on the side next to me, and then Andy was driving. Andy was the driver. And we were parked, like, you know, with the front end facing out of the parking. So when we tried to get out this way, his friend stood in front of the car. So what Andy did is he came back and then he went that way to try to avoid him, to get away from him. But in the parking lot, you can only go down one way. You know how the on-ramp is at City Walk? So
Do I know? No, but I can sort of imagine you.
All right.
You're explaining it very well.
Okay, so we ended up going in a big circle to come out in the same downward on-ramp where he was still at because his car was like kind of by there. So he comes out and I guess that's when Scott saw him when he came out and he threw a crowbar at the car.
Just a second. Did you see him throw the crowbar?
No, I didn't see him.
Your last name, sir?
Lauby.
Mr. Lauby, you were sitting in the front passenger seat?
No, the back driver's seat.
Okay. Who was sitting in the front passenger seat?
David. I was sitting in the back, Your Honor.
Alone?
Yes. Andy was driving and David was shotgun in his car. Because I
So you
just
were
jumped
sitting
in
in
the
the
back
front. You
and
don't
he got in
remember
the
that?
front.
I don't remember that really.
Okay. Tell me what you saw.
So when we were coming down the off-ramp, I looked, and out the corner of my eye, I see something being thrown. So I looked, and then I just ducked because the window was right there, and a crowbar hit the back quarter panel of the car. And then that's when we just took off, and then we ended up getting pulled over.
Perfect. Sit down.
Thank you.
What's next?
Okay, so now when we're leaving City Walk and we get down by the metro station, which is across the street from City Walk, we get pulled over by a sheriff. He pulls us over. He takes us out of the car one by one. He starts asking us questions like, do we have weapons or anything like that? And I was like, no, you can search me and my car's clean. You know, he searches everything. What he does, he puts us in 3 separate cop cars. Then he takes me out of the cop car and makes me stand next to my car. And that's when a security vehicle came, I guess, with Travis to identify me, to point me out. So the sheriffs go and they asked us to go back to the substation to write a statement.
And you went back in police cars to write a statement.
And they left my car there. So when we're in the police station, I'm writing my statement. He says, okay, I'm going to believe you. And he lets me go. And Scott was still being asked questions. So I got to leave before him. And I was so worried about my car that I went before anybody else to go get my car. When I'm going down the hill and someone is standing on top of my car, it's Travis. And I recognized him because I knew exactly what he looked like already, and I knew what he was wearing, and I knew what his car looked like. So when I start running towards my car, I see a better view, and he's standing on top of my car with a crowbar hitting the window, bashing the window in. And I go, hey, what are you doing? I start running toward the car. He jumps in the car, and while he's taking off, he says, that's what you get, mother F. And he takes off.
I knew what you meant even before you said it.
So, all right. So, and that's how I knew it was him. So what I did is I jumped right back in the car and I went straight back to the police station and I filed the police report.
Do you have pictures of your car, sir?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it.
These are all the pictures right here. That was taken by the insurance.
Did you have the car fixed?
No, all I could afford was to fix the windows. So I just fixed some of the windows.
All right, Mr. Pexey, let me hear your version of the events, sir. What time had you arrived at the club?
Approximately 1:15, 1:30.
And where had you been prior to 1:15?
Where I live in Santa Clarita.
I don't hear you.
I'm sorry, ma'am. Where I live in Santa Clarita.
You were at your house?
Well, I was picking up these
Listen to me. I have a question. And I don't want you to start thinking, machinating about the answer.
Okay.
You arrive at a club at 1:15 in the morning. My question is a simple one. Where had you been prior to 1:15 in the morning?
Picking up my significant other at the time.
Where had you been prior to picking up your significant other?
Getting ready to go out Saturday night.
At midnight?
At my house.
At midnight.
Yeah, it took the girls actually a really long time to decide where we were going to go.
Mr. Pexey.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't believe, sir, that you got to a club that was going to be closing, or you were going to leave in a half hour at 1:15, 1:30 in the morning when you were out in the parking lot at 2 o'clock. Do you understand what I'm saying, sir?
What?
The girls didn't take that long to get their hair done. Now, had you been at your house? Had you been at another club? Had you been out for dinner?
That's actually what I went there for, was to eat dinner.
And you ate dinner in a half hour?
Yeah, we were...
I'm asking you a question.
Yes.
You went to the club and you ate dinner
Yes, ma'am.
in a half hour.
Yes, ma'am. What? I didn't finish.
You didn't what? No, I mean, you get to the club, you got to look at a menu.
The club closes...
You got to look at a menu, then you have to order, then somebody has to cook it. And all that took place in a half hour, and you were outside in the parking lot at 2 o'clock in the morning. I just want to understand what you're saying to me, sir. So, what did you have for dinner, Mr. Pexey?
Bacon cheeseburger, fries with a side of ranch, and a Grey Goose cranberry with the lime.
And
that
you
I
had
actually
that,
spilled
and
all
you
over
got
my
there
dinner.
at 1:15 in the morning. How many people were you with?
Me, my girlfriend at the time, and my friend Justin and his girlfriend at the time.
So 4 of you.
But I was the only one that was eating.
You mean your other 3 friends were just watching you eat?
No, they went there to drink.
Not you.
I actually don't drink alcohol that much.
Well, that much. I'm glad you mentioned that much, sir, because according to you, you had ordered a Grey Goose and cranberry juice. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, I do have relatively good hearing. Not perfect, but relatively good
Yes,
hearing.
ma'am.
Go ahead, Mr. Pex. You see where we're going, sir? It's not going to be easy. You're going to be glad you took that drink of water. Go ahead.
Well, so we got into Saddle Ranch, and I don't even know if this is relevant, but I don't like eating fast food, so I wanted to eat at a restaurant, a sit-down place, and there's not...
Maybe relevant to your mother, Mr. Pexy. It is irrelevant to me.
So that was one of the only places that was open that late to eat. So we went there to eat and grab a few drinks before heading home. Pretty much I ordered my food at the bar, at the back bar. That's why it didn't take that long, because it was at the bar. It wasn't like I sat down. Oh, sorry. I don't speak fast. I'm not a very...
Get used to it, sir. I have other things to do today.
Sorry.
This is not exactly the Scopes trial.
So, I spilled my drink actually all over my dinner on the way to the table, so I actually didn't really get to eat most of it because it was soaked in my drink. And as I was finishing, they escorted us out of...
Finishing what?
My meal. Well,
I thought you couldn't eat your meal because your drink spilled on it.
Well, I mean, I had drove all the way down there for food, so I just salvaged what I could, I guess.
I'm trying to salvage the rest of your case, sir. Could we move on, please?
So they kicked us out at 2, and we were walking to the car. It was raining a little bit, so I gave my sweater that I was wearing to one of the girls because they just had dresses on.
You mean they got all dressed up to go to a place for 45 minutes to watch you eat?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
They're very high maintenance.
Go ahead. No, you're high maintenance.
And
They're
so,
not high maintenance. If 3 people are watching one person eat, and they have spent an evening getting ready, because according to you, it takes them a long time to get ready.
Yes, ma'am.
And the entire evening was spent watching you eat a soaked hamburger. They're not high maintenance, sir. You are.
Well, I know I am.
Now let's move on, Mr. Pexy.
So we walked back to the car, which was parked on the opposite side of Saddle Ranch. And my car was backed into the spot that we were parked in. It was in a parking garage. And everyone was getting into the car, and I was the driver because I was sober, because I don't drink.
He drank cranberry.
But I guess you could say I did consume alcohol. So I was getting into my car, with the door was open, and I was facing inward to put on the sweater because it was cold and raining. And
So you took it off the girlfriend?
yes, ma'am, after everyone had gotten into the car.
Move on!
And then as I was putting my sweater on, a person approached me, and, well, actually, like a car, a black BMW pulled up, because I was faced out, pulled up approximately like 2 spots up the garage for me. And I was standing getting my sweater on, and somebody came and tapped me and was like, hey, I need to talk to you. And I looked over my shoulder, and it was a person I had never seen before, and it was Mr. Giannis. And I replied to him like, excuse me, I do not know you. You know, what do you need to talk to me about? And he more aggressively than said, I need to talk to you right now. He might have cursed, but I don't really feel the need to use that language. And then as he did that, he kind of twirled me so that my back was to him and grabbed me with his left arm around my throat. And my friend in the car thought that he knew me and that he was just kind of like messing with me like, hey, yo, what's up, how you doing? But it actually turned out that he was trying to choke me out unconscious. And once he figured out that, oh, this guy's not messing with him, he's actually choking him, then my friend got out of the car. And at that time, I was trying to like get breath back into my lungs. Mr. Giannis yells at my friend, yo, this is a jack. I'm going to kill this fool if you come near me. And he reaches into his waistline. And I was just kind of like, oh, my God, is he really going to shoot me? So I kind of reached back to where his hand was because he was still choking me. And I reached back, and there wasn't anything there. And so I looked directly at my friend, and I said, hey, he doesn't have a gun. And then he pulled his hand out of his waistline and put it to my head like this. And I was just thinking to myself, like, what? And then I went to spin out because he was still choking me. And as I went to spin out, he, like, grabbed my sweater, and then the sweater got ripped off. And this is the sweater I was wearing. It's, like, all ripped. And as it ripped off, he grabbed me by 2 hands by my hair, which obviously isn't that hard to grab, and started to proceed to drag me towards the black BMW. And my friend that got out of the car grabbed my sweater.
Fine. All right. Let's move on, please. I got it. I got your picture. What I don't understand, Mr. Pexy, is the following, sir. After this interchange happened between the two of you, irrespective of who I believe, there came a time when you were free and Mr. Giannis was in his car.
Yeah,
Was in his car. And according to you, this brute, who may or may not have had a gun, who assaulted you without provocation, was leaving. Now I want you to tell me, because I read your answer with some interest, what you did next.
After I yanked my head out of his hands.
Oh, your head's out of his hands, he's in his car, and he's moving away.
And like he said, it was in a parking structure, so he had to go down, make a left, and then another left, and come back by my car. And I ran and grabbed a crowbar from my car, and I was going to get his license plate number.
Okay, now that's what I want. That's what I want. So you ran to your car and got a crowbar.
Yes, ma'am.
In what hand were you holding it?
The right one.
And what were you doing with your left hand?
Running.
And you were doing this in order to get his license plate number?
Because he was...
Shh. Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
That's what you say in your answer. Now, in what hand were you holding the pencil?
My cell phone, actually.
What hand were you holding the pencil in?
I didn't have a pencil.
And in what hand were you holding a piece of paper in?
I have a, type.
See what you're doing with this? See? So what I want to know is, Mr. Pexy, how were you going to get his license plate number with a crowbar?
Well, that
running,
was actually just
running
to protect
with a crowbar.
myself. I actually ran just over to the alley and stopped running. And then as he proceeded to come towards me, and the car swerved at me and ran over my...
How were you going to get
And
his
then-
license plate number, sir, which was your intention?
After he ran my foot over, I wrote his license plate down in my phone.
You have the phone with you?
Yeah. I don't
Show
have
me
the
his
number
license
in.
plate number in
But
your
I-
phone.
I don't have it in here, but I could show you, things to write.
No, I want you to show me his license plate number that you wrote down in your phone.
I don't have it, actually.
Now, moving on from your taking the crowbar and smashing his car,
Yes, ma'am.
you did not, in fact, go to the hospital that day for your foot, did you?
No, the EMTs came.
My question is,
Oh,
you
no, I
did not
didn't.
go to the hospital about your run-over foot,
Like in an ambulance?
like in an anything,
Oh, no.
like in a car,
Yeah.
anything. You didn't go to the hospital.
No, ma'am.
And he's driving a BMW,
Yeah.
pretty heavy car, to run over your foot.
Yeah, I've got strong bones.
Okay. Now, after he rode over your foot, I want you to tell me what you did to his car.
Well, I just hit it that one time as he ran over my foot, and then I went to fill out police reports and stuff.
Yeah, and so it's your statement that you never went back to his car with the crowbar that you retrieved.
Oh, I didn't. No.
No. And you don't know who did.
No.
Can I see your bill for fixing up your car?
You think I could do that to a car?
It's on there also.
Oh,
There's a
fine,
little
thank
tab
you.
on there.
Not only do I think you could, I know you did.
I weigh like 135
Because,
pounds.
Body, sir, that's why you used a crowbar. If you were a little taller and a little heavier, you could have used your body, could have kicked it. But instead, you got a crowbar to take down his license plate number. All right. What year BMW is this?
It's a
sir?
94.
It's a 1994. It's 13 years old. It's not worth $4,700.
That's the damages from what the insurance gave me because the car was considered a total loss, so they wouldn't pay anything for the car. I have to actually fix it myself.
Okay, so you fixed the car.
Yeah, basically.
You fixed the car.
To be
How much
able
did
to
it cost
drive.
you to fix the car, sir?
All I fixed was the windows so far.
And how much did it cost you to fix the windows?
It was about $1,100. I don't have a receipt on me for that one.
Okay. Mr. Yanis, I'm giving you $2,500 to cover the expenses that you incurred in putting in new windows and seeing the best you can do with regard to taking out the dents in the car, which I did see. Mr. Pexy,
Yes, ma'am.
you tell a very, very good story. Not a persuasive story,
Well, I have a police
but a
report.
very good story. You have a police report made by
ma'am.
whom?
West Hollywood Sheriff's Department.
Based on what?
This person that's actually suing me was convicted of a battery, non-desirous of persons, private persons, arrest myself.
They didn't tell me anything about that.
If you'd like to see it, you could check it out.
You mean he was convicted of battery
Yes,
on
ma'am.
you?
Yeah. Oh.
Sir, it may be. You're not suing him for battery.
Oh, I know, but why would I?
You're not suing him for battery.
Why would I
He's
go
suing
after
you
him?
for vandalizing his car.
But why would I go after him if I could have had him arrested for battery? I was kidnapped almost, and
oh,
You're going to pay to fix his vandalized car, sir, which there is no question in my mind that you did. There is also no question in my mind that you precipitated this argument in the parking lot that day, not him. Because if you think that I believe this cockamamie story that you told me about getting to the club at 1:15 to have a hamburger while your three friends watched you after dressing for 2.5 hours to go out for an evening, I don't. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All these excused, you may step out.
Nathan Heater says ex-girlfriend Rebecca Titus had him falsely arrested for physically abusing her. Rebecca claims he kicked her in the stomach during her pregnancy.
Mr. Heater, the defendant used to be your girlfriend.
Yes.
And according to your complaint, she had you falsely arrested for domestic violence.
Correct.
Ms. Titus says that she did call the police. She had you arrested for domestic violence, and that's because you hit her. Correct?
Yes.
This incident happened on what date?
July 28th.
Now, Ms. Titus, I am correct that at one point in your relationship, you found yourself pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And you told Mr. Heater that he was the father of this baby and that you miscarried. Is
Yes,
that what
ma'am.
happened? But it turned out that he was not the father of this child.
It could have not been his.
Right. And then you renewed your relationship again briefly. But that's all it takes, Mr. Heater. A brief moment of stupidity, and Miss Titus told you she was pregnant again. And according to you, you said, listen, I didn't know about last time, I don't know about this time. I don't want to have anything to do with this baby until I take a paternity test.
Actually, what I told her was that I would help her out as long as I would be repaid if the baby was not mine.
You didn't discuss that with me first. I would have told you that that was a very bad idea. However, on the evening of the 28th of July, according to you, and according to Miss Titus, she called you and wanted to come over to talk.
Actually, he called me.
Yes.
What did you call her for?
I thought that she had a doctor's appointment regarding the baby the previous day, and I just called to see how it went.
And what did Miss Titus tell you?
She said that I was wrong about the date, that I believe it was the next day, and that she would like to come over and speak to me. And I said, I don't think that's a good idea. We speak face-to-face, that we should speak over the phone. And she said that she didn't want to speak over the phone.
So Mr. Heater told you not to come over.
Well,
you
no.
acknowledge that. He said he didn't want to talk to you in person.
He said that he didn't want to talk to me, but eventually said that it was okay for me to come over.
Did you tell her it was okay to
No,
come
I
over?
did not.
No, I don't believe that. It's not what you say in your answer, and I don't believe that. He said he didn't want to talk to you in person. He thought you should discuss whatever you had to discuss over the phone. But you went over there anyway. What time did you go over there?
About 12:30 in the afternoon.
What did you want to discuss with him?
I wanted to talk to him about the baby and about how things were going between us. We were, before this, we were going out and doing things together, and like...
Don't you people know anything about birth control?
Yes, they don't work for me.
They don't work for you?
Yes. My body rejects them.
There are all kinds of birth control, Ms. Titus.
Yes, ma'am.
The answer to having a problem with one form of birth control is not to have babies with people who don't want to have children with you, like Mr. Heater or anybody else. So you went over there about 12:30.
I knocked at the door, and he told me to come in, and I upset him. And
how did you upset him?
I don't remember exactly what I said.
Maybe you
to
do.
him.
If you don't remember, maybe he does. What happened, Mr.
I
Heater?
was upset before she came into the house because I told her not to.
Come over.
And she started screaming through my door at me.
What was she saying?
You have to live up to your responsibilities. You can't create a situation and then not take care of it.
That doesn't sound welcoming, Miss Titus.
That never happened at all.
Go ahead.
So, to save myself from embarrassment from my neighbors, and I did open the door for her to try to...
So you let her in?
Yeah.
And what happened when she came inside?
It just continued on the same thing in there. You have to take care of this. And, you know, I was trying to tell her I'm doing the best I can with this. I don't really know how to deal with this situation. Everything's so bad. I don't know what to do except for what I am doing, and that wasn't good enough for her. And for 30 or 45 minutes, she followed me around my house with me telling her to leave over and over and over again. She would not leave my house. And eventually I was in the kitchen sorting my dishes, and she came in and was pointing her finger at me, yelling at me in there, telling me the same thing, that I had to deal with my responsibilities. At that point, I took her by the hand that she was pointing at me with and just turned her around facing the kitchen door. And I had hold of her elbows with my body pressed against her back and was just walking her towards the door. I was like, you need to leave now. And she grabbed onto the kitchen doorway and started pressing back against me. And when I finally backed off of her and she let go of the door, she turned around and grabbed my hand like this, and then she smacked me in the face and said I had no right to touch her. And as a reaction, my hand came back around too.
So you hit her?
Yeah, regrettably I did come back around. She went off towards what I thought was the front door, but as I was in the kitchen, I heard her dialing my phone. She told me then that she called the police.
Do you have a copy of the police report?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it, please. Who is this gentleman, Mr. Heater?
This is my friend Jason Hubbard.
Was he a witness to what happened on the 28th of July?
No, he wasn't.
Okay. Okay, Miss Titus, tell me what happened, your version of what happened when you got into the house.
When I came into the house, we sat down on the couch and started to talk. At first, things were okay. Then I started talking about the baby and about this new girl that he's dating and how that her not liking me around is the real reason why he's not wanting to have anything to do with the baby. Then he got upset and told me to leave, and I told him no, he can't just end the conversation anytime he wants
yes, he can.
to.
He can tell you to leave his house. Go ahead.
I followed him around the house and was still talking to him, and we ended up in the kitchen, and I had said something about this girl he's dating, his girlfriend, and he doesn't like me to refer to her as that, so that made him really upset. And he came and he grabbed me by my arms and started to escort me through the door. And I stopped myself, told him he didn't have any right to put his hands on me at all.
Yes, you did.
Not according to...
Oh, yes, you did. Once he tells you that he wants you to leave his house and you remain there, you're trespassing. That's a crime. Next.
Well, according to...
Don't tell me according to anybody. You tell according to a police officer. I've had 10 years of postgraduate legal education. When you're in somebody's house and you're an invited guest, first of all, you weren't an invited guest.
But I was
I'm
invited.
speaking. You weren't an invited guest. You were told not to come. You came anyway. He tried to avoid you and said, please leave. Once he told you to leave his house and you refused, you become a trespasser.
Well, another reason
Now,
I didn't leave is because in previous arguments that we've had, he's asked me to leave, and then 10 minutes later he'll call me and tell me come back over.
Well, you just have to guess his mood then. Right now he told you to leave, and you didn't leave, so he put his hand to escort you out. And what did you do?
I was pushing back against him, like you said, and I turned around, and he still had a hold of me when I smacked him in his face.
Right, so you smacked him in his face first.
Yes, ma'am.
And then he slapped you.
Twice.
Twice. You slapped him the first time, he slapped you twice. It's amazing to me that the police arrested you, sir. Absolutely amazing. Tried to get you out of the house. He's holding on to your arms. You're resisting him. Ultimately, you turn around. He's still pushing you, correct? And you slapped him. He slapped you then twice. Where did he slap you? In the face?
In the face.
And then he let go of you when you called the police. And you are there because you are pregnant.
Yes.
And you're concerned about the welfare of your baby.
Yes.
And that is the primary thing that you're concerned about, the welfare of your baby.
Yes.
So let me tell you what you told the police. Titus said that the defendant grabbed her by the arms and began to drag her out of his house, physically trying to remove her from the residence. She advised that she is pregnant with his child and that he pushed on her stomach. Was that meant to get the police really angry at him? Pregnant, he pushed on your stomach? You're full of baloney. And you had no right to have him arrested. And I'm amazed that they arrested him. He has a right to escort you out of his house if you refuse to leave. You hit him first. Did you hire a lawyer?
No, I had a public defender.
One of the things that I have to comment on is you're not too swift. If you're dating this girl and she tells you she's pregnant and it turns out it could have been you or somebody else, I wouldn't have had a wind through my head and then had intimate relations with her again, unprotected. Do we understand each other?
Completely.
Ms. Titus, you have to learn that domestic violence is a very serious crime. Just because you're a woman doesn't mean that you have a right to hit somebody and not expect to be hit back. And you have no right to lie to the police, because it was a lie, but you told the police that he pushed you in your stomach while you were pregnant. That's not what he did at all, because that's not what you told me happened. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
26-year-old Ebony Dean is suing the mother of her late husband's son, Taishra White, for the cost of her stepson's orthodontist bills.
Miss Dean, you were married to the defendant's former boyfriend.
Yes, ma'am.
And your husband passed away recently. They had a child together.
Yes, ma'am.
The child was primarily living with you and your husband at the time of his death. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And at the time he was about 13?
Yes, ma'am.
How old is he now?
13.
13. This is your lawsuit. While he was living with you and your husband, you got braces for him.
Yes, ma'am.
Because he needed them.
Yes, ma'am.
And you took out a loan.
Yes, ma'am.
In order to do that. Your husband is no longer here. You want his mother to take over the responsibility of the rest of the loan.
Yes, ma'am.
And to that, his mother says she is not responsible for the loan because she never signed the loan papers.
Correct.
Okay. Can I see any paperwork that you have from the dentist?
Yes. This is the recommendation to get the minor braces due to he had a...
Just a second. Let me read. I can read it. So this was the referral that was done in May 21st, 2007.
Yes, ma'am.
And at that time, was he in fact living with you, or was
Yes,
he
full
was
custody.
living with you and your husband?
Yes.
Okay. How much was the total bill?
The total bill was $3,000 some odd dollars, Your Honor.
Yes.
If I could say something, please?
Yes.
About the recommendation and the dentist bills and all the records, I have never seen any of that.
Doesn't make any difference.
And about the...
You paid. I read your answer. You paid, according to you, what you thought you could pay, which was $800.
To keep the peace, Your
Just a
Honor.
second. I don't care whether it was to keep the peace or not. It has really nothing to do with the loan, Miss White. It has nothing... Listen, I want you to listen to me very carefully. It has nothing to do with the loan. It has to do with your responsibility as a parent to give your child whatever necessaries your child needs.
Your Honor, I understand that completely.
No, you don't. I don't think you do at all.
Your Honor.
Just listen to me. Who are you?
I'm her husband.
It has nothing to do with you. Judge, listen to me. Has nothing to do with you. This is not your child.
Yes, it is.
Has nothing. No. It has nothing
He is
to do.
my child.
No.
He stays with me in my house.
I
That's
don't
my
care whether
child.
he
I've been
stays with
raising him
you.
since he was-
Listen to me. It has nothing to do with you because you have, at this point, no financial responsibility with regard to the child's dental care.
I do too. He's in my house. I'm married
Okay,
to
listen,
her.
this is not a discussion that you and I are having. We don't have discussions. I'm telling you what the law is. You have no financial responsibility for the child's braces. You don't. His mother and his father have a responsibility to ensure that the child gets whatever necessaries the child needs. Now, as far as the plaintiff is concerned, I'm telling you what the law is. This has nothing to do with her obligation under the loan. She is suing you because the child who required braces, because I must assume, and if you don't think that's true, you can sue the dentist for malpractice. The child that I must assume needed braces as a necessary, just like food, clothing, shelter, medical care, that's a necessary. Put him out, please.
I just had a question. Mama.
I don't answer your questions.
Medi-Cal pays for them. He is on medical.
You're not paying attention.
Sir. Yes.
You want to talk instead of listen. Just as your husband has no financial obligation to this child, absent a showing that the state is paying any money for the child, neither does the plaintiff. When she was his stepmother, she took on that responsibility because I assumed that the child's father couldn't get a loan in his name. She assumed that responsibility while she was married to your former boyfriend. She was the child's stepmother. She is no longer the child's stepmother. A situation that came very close to home because I understand that you don't think that she should have any visits with him.
No, that's not true.
In any event, you are responsible, Miss White, for necessaries for your child.
Yana, can I say something? I haven't
Yes,
been
now
able to
you can say
anything.
something.
Okay, Malik had Medi-Cal at the time. Now, when you have Medi-Cal, there's certain points that you have to, come up to with your mouth for them to say that they can have them. Well, Medi-Cal denied him because he didn't have enough points. So
Right.
Medi-Cal said that, he didn't need them.
Let me ask you this question, ma'am. You think you're a good mother?
Yes, I'm a very good mother.
Well, then I want you to think about this. Because he didn't have bad enough teeth to qualify for free braces, do you think that that means that the child didn't benefit from having braces? That requires a yes or a no.
No, but I mean, could you let me talk a little
No,
bit?
I want you to. You think that these people put braces on your child
No,
because he didn't need them?
That's not what I'm saying, Your Honor.
Then I want you to tell me what you're saying. Do you think
Okay.
that his father and his stepmother obligated themselves financially because they paid for a substantial part of this loan
I wasn't
back?
involved
I'm
in-
speaking. because they wanted to torture him?
No, Your Honor.
Do you think that they put on the braces because a doctor, a private doctor, said that your son could benefit from having braces?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
Your Honor, please let me say something, please. I'm begging you.
Go ahead.
The thing is that I wasn't involved in the process at all. When they told me about the loan and everything, they had already did everything.
Fine.
They didn't
It has nothing
I
to
could
do
have
with
went and
the
got a
loan.
second
Excuse me, Your Honor.
opinion.
Can I Put your hand down. No.
I could have went and got a second opinion. We could have went somewhere else to try to get something that we both can afford. I have 3 other children. I wasn't involved in anything. It was all about a control issue. Oh, we're doing this, here, you pay this. Involve me in something.
Listen
and
to
she
me
wants
carefully.
me to pay all of it.
Listen to me carefully. She wouldn't have come here if the child's father was still alive.
No, she wouldn't.
Now,
have.
just listen to me. She wouldn't have come here if your child's father was still alive. If she came here, I would have said, listen, he's a parent, just like she is. You obligated yourself to pay for this. Child's father, he pays for it. But she has no responsibility to pay for the necessaries for your child.
She's been paying half all this time.
It has nothing to do with the loan. You're not understanding me. Your head is fixed in the loan. It has nothing to do with the loan.
Okay.
I'm trying to get it through to you. You don't understand. These braces are necessaries, just like you give your child breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Okay.
And as the parent that's left, you are responsible in the law for all the necessaries of this child. All of them. She's not responsible anymore for anything with regard to this child. You are responsible for everything, having nothing to do with the loan. The only reason she had the loan is because of her husband. You are responsible for your child's medical and dental care. And there's an outstanding balance now of $1,127. That's your responsibility. And if
All
your
of it?
husband, all of it, all of it.
So she didn't assume responsibility in paying half of it?
It's not her. No, it's not her child. It's your child. It's your
So
child.
she can go out and get a car, and he totaled it, and oh, here, you pay it because this is your child, without consulting me at all.
No, a car is not a necessary. Put your hand down. A car is not a necessary. If your child, however, needed an emergency appendectomy, and they took the child to the hospital, and there was a $20,000 medical bill, and the child's father died, you would be responsible for the entire $20,000 medical bill because you are his mother, and you are the only surviving parent. And whether they consulted you and you could have gotten the appendectomy cheaper or not, it doesn't make any difference. It's your responsibility. You are his mother, not hers. So it would have been his father's if he was alive, but he's gone.
Wow.
That's the law. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1127. Thank you, Your Honor.
John White says co-worker Toriano Harris owes for injuring his eye. John says Toriano ripped his cornea when he tackled him at a party.
According to your complaint, sir, you were at a New Year's Eve party.
Yes.
Mr. Harris was at the same New Year's Eve party, and you claimed that he was pretty drunk, and while not intentionally, while horsing around, he seriously injured your eye.
True.
Mr. Harris says everybody was sort of fooling around and butting each other. He didn't injure you. You were just fine. And he questions whether or not he exacerbated this pre-existing eye injury that you had.
Right.
What time did you get to the party?
Probably around 12:30.
Who did you go with?
Kathy.
Where had you been before?
At another party.
Who was driving?
I was.
Were you drinking?
Yeah.
How come you were drinking and driving?
And got caught up in the celebrations.
Was she drinking?
No.
Why didn't you let her drive?
Wasn't thinking at the time.
How much had you been drinking?
Couple cups of champagne, maybe.
Whose party was this that you arrived at 12:30?
Another co-worker's, another friend.
What time did you arrive at the party?
It was a little before 12, about 11:30.
Where had you been previous to 11:30?
I live across the street, so I walked across the street to the party.
So you hadn't had any alcohol before 11:30?
Nope. Ma'am.
And what were you drinking between 11:30 and 12:30?
Had about 2 beers.
Who did you come to the party with?
By myself.
Were you by yourself the beginning part of the evening?
Yes, I was.
That sounds pretty lonely on a New Year's Eve, Mr. Harris.
Well, I had just got off work, and then I went home and found out it was a party across the street, and it was somebody who I work with. So I was invited, so I walked across the street.
Okay, so now that we've laid the foundation of this evening, You were there by yourself. You had a date. You arrived at 12:30. You arrived at 11:30. You were sober as a judge.
Yes, ma'am.
Before 11:30, after that, you had a couple of beers.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me what happened at 12:30 when you arrived, Mr. White.
I came in the house, I mingled a little bit, had some more drinks. Probably 45 minutes to an hour after that time of mingling. Mr. Harris here was just a little bit out of control. He was obviously way drunker than he said he was. He was so out of control that me and some of the other guests removed ourselves from the living room of the party to like the front porch, patio type area, holding the door, keeping him from coming in. He eventually got up there on the patio where he continued his behaviors.
Describe his behavior to me, please.
Out of control is the only word I can use. He jumping around, spitting liquor at us, loud, screaming. He got down into like a football stance and just rushed me.
Describe that to me. Show me. What's a football stance?
Out here?
Yeah.
A football stance.
Okay, that kind of, okay. All right.
Brushed my legs, grabbed me by the legs, and I don't know if he was trying to put me in a wrestling move or just whatever, but as I was going down, his head hit my eye, causing the stitches that I had from a previous surgery to bust. And
What kind of surgery had you had on your eye?
I had a cornea transplant.
When?
September 20th.
You have the medical records for me?
Yes.
I'd like to see them, please. That's the injury that you're talking about, being bumped in the head by him and the
Yes.
stitches coming apart.
As
Did you go to the emergency room that day?
Yes, I did.
Who took you?
My friend here, Kathy. I actually went home to, went back to
Kathy,
the
you have a
hospital.
last name.
Smith.
You took him to the emergency room?
Yes.
Immediately after being bumped in the head, did you leave the party?
Well, after I got hit in the eye, like I say, he took me to the ground. I think that was the initial impact. And once I was on the ground, he went for probably a headlock and came across my eye again, taking me back to the ground as I was getting up. And at that point, it was when I crawled to the bathroom, tried to wipe the little blood that I did have, and then I left the party.
How many surgeries did you have subsequent to this incident?
3.
Were you scheduled to have any other surgeries after
No.
the initial corneal transplant?
Right. I was doing my...
You were doing
it was in
fine.
the period of my recovery process.
Okay, Mr. Harris. I'm going to hear you, sir.
We was at the party. We had a couple drinks. I had a couple drinks. I knew he was already there, and he was already drinking, because I can already tell the way he was talking.
You arrived first.
No, he arrived first.
No, you arrived first. You said you arrived at 11:30. They didn't arrive until 12:30.
No, he was there first before me.
Okay, keep going.
I already knew that he had been drinking because the way the slur of his speech he was talking. As the struck clock to 12, we all just was having fun. It was party, horse playing, high five. We bumped chests. Then all of a sudden, a buddy of mine had picked me up. I'm looking around like, what's going on? You know what I'm saying? So then all of a sudden, he grabbed me. So when he grabbed me, I broke him off of me. And then he fell to the ground, I guess injuring his eye then. He was the aggressor. I wasn't the aggressor. He put his hands on me first.
Did you see what happened?
No, he did. I was in the other room. I'm the one who just witnessed.
Tell me your name, sir.
My name is Brian Dukes.
Do you know both of these gentlemen?
Yes, ma'am.
How long have you known them?
About 3 years.
Both?
Yes.
Both nice people?
Yes, yes.
Okay. What time did you arrive at the party that night?
It was after midnight.
Were you out on the porch when this incident
Yes,
occurred?
ma'am.
Tell me what you saw, please.
I'm pretty much a witness to his pretty much out of control behaviors, Mr. Harris. He pretty, like Mr. White here said, he did get down, crouch down in football stands, and did attack Mr. White here.
Just describe to me what you saw. He got down in a football stance.
Football stands. Then he just rushed him, just grabbed his legs and took him down to the ground.
Did you assist him in cleaning up his eye?
No, ma'am.
You were just a guest at the party?
Yes.
Did you come with an escort?
No, ma'am.
Were you the only one with a date that night?
No. No.
Okay. I read your complaint that you had a video.
Yes.
Somebody was taking pictures of that
The
evening.
homeowner of the party actually was recording the whole incident.
I'd like to see it, please. Mr. Dukes, you can have a seat, sir.
Thank you.
This is the point here. This was like I said, well past 12:30. He's actually finna start spitting liquor at us. You can't hear it, but he's screaming, yelling, profanity, whatnot. This, in the background, this the patio. Now, this the patio area here where we at. That's the homeowner's friend telling him that he needs to go, but he's not hearing anything. That's the charge. Right there you can see me holding my eye as I'm going back. And he jumps on me again. I'm trying to get up now. I brought back down. At this point here, this is where I told him, I didn't use these words, but you just messed my eye up. And he was like, all right, get up, I got you. I'm crawling off into the bathroom now. As he comes back out, he attempts to do this again, but he will stop. This was a separate person here, separate incident. And so that's the homeowner there. At this point, she was just really fed up with him. That's him hitting the door, banging on her front door, glass door.
What you're supposed to say, Mr. Harris, is, I drank too much, I was an idiot. I'm sorry I hurt you, and I'm going to pay your bills. You're not supposed to make excuses, sir. Have you seen this video before?
No.
You've never seen it before?
Never seen it
Why
before.
didn't you show him this video before? Maybe he would understand the nature of his actions.
In this process, I reached out to him twice, not asking him to pay the bills, just to help me. Like, so we have been friends for some time. I knew that he didn't just have this money in his pocket, but if he would have just assisted, no, I don't. But if he had just assisted with the help, we probably wouldn't be here.
I'm waiting.
If he knew that his eye was messed up, why would he come to a party and have fun anyway? I mean, but you know, sometimes when you're at a party, everybody get, you know, everybody horseplay. At least they do where I'm from.
You want to take this one, or what do you want me to do?
I don't know. There are good questions and there are bad questions. That's a bad question.
You know that if you have some delicate surgery, the chances of that surgery becoming infected, inflamed, that can become dislodged, that happens. Is what you're suggesting, sir, that if you have this kind of surgery, you stay in your room? You work at a place where I assume sometimes it gets physical.
Exactly.
Is that right?
Yes.
That's his job. So he has to go to work. And you take care as best as you can to make sure that the people that you're working with don't hurt you, don't exacerbate a condition that already exists. When you go to a New Year's Eve party, you expect to have a little bit of alcohol, sometimes, and sometimes you even expect people to act stupid. You don't expect them to act very stupid. And when you act very stupid, Mr. Harris, and you hurt somebody, you have to be responsible and pay for it, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Let me ask you this question, sir. You live across the street from this party.
Yes, ma'am.
You were pretty drunk.
Yes, ma'am.
Let me give you this scenario. You're walking back to your house, and you're pretty drunk, and you're not looking where you were going. And a car is coming down the street. They're perfectly fine. Nobody's drinking in that car. They're driving. But you dart out into the middle of the street, and that car swerves to avoid you. And the people in that car are seriously injured because they hit a tree. Are you going to tell me that you think on New Year's Eve people shouldn't drive their cars because drunks sometimes walk in the middle of the road? That's the same kind of philosophy that you're trying to sell me when you say, listen, when you go to a New Year's Eve party, everybody gets drunk and they horse around. You can horse around without being an idiot. Would you like to show your boss that video?
I don't want to show nobody that video.
Well, you should have thought of that before you came here, Mr. Harris. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
हालिया पाक भारत जंग में पाकिस्तान आर्मेड फोर्सेस की कामयाबी के बाद पाकिस्तान क्रिकेट टीम के साबिक कप्तान शाहिद खान आफरीदी की क़यादत में कराची के इलाके सी व्यू पर एक शानदार रैली का एहतमाम किया गया। इस रैली को पाकिस्तान के साबिक ऑलराउंडर शाहिद खान आफरीदी लीड कर रहे थे और उनके साथ सैकड़ों अफराद इस रैली में पाकिस्तान के झंडे उठाए शरीक थे। रैली के शुरका ने पाकिस्तान जिंदाबाद के नारे लगाए और पाकिस्तान अफवाज को खिराज तहसीन पेश किया। जिस तरह से पाकिस्तान आर्मी, पाकिस्तान नेवी और पाकिस्तान एयरफोर्स ने शानदार कारकर्दगी दिखाई और भारत को तमाम फील्ड के अंदर चारों खाने चित कर दिया। इस मौके पर शाहिद खान आफरीदी ने तमाम शुरका का शुक्रिया अदा किया और मीडिया से बात करते हुए उन्होंने कहा कि ये पाकिस्तान फ़ौज की ज़बरदस्त कामयाबी है। पाकिस्तानी कौम कभी भी जंग नहीं चाहती। हमने हमेशा अमन का पैगाम दिया और आइंदा भी अमन के लिए ही काम करेंगे।
लेफ्ट पे रखो, इसके पीछे पीछे रखना। थोड़ा सा आगे ले ले वो टीवी वाले, थोड़ा सा आ जाओ आ जाओ आ जाओ आ जाओ, थोड़ा सा और आगे ले ले वो आ जाओ आ जाओ, आ रहे हैं। थैंक यू। शायदा 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 हाँ यू सेकंड लावत रहेगा हाँ चलो 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 अबे आप क्यों अबे जगह दे रहे हो जल्दी करो हाँ यू सेकंड लेवल देगा फैजान चिपके रहना चलो 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 हॉर्न दो चलो देख कर ओए चलो 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 लेफ्ट पे रखो मत जगह नहीं छोड़ो यार चलो चलो खींचो शायदा बदलेंगे ना बदलेंगे ना दोबारा खींचो ऊपर से आओ खींचो जबरदस्त ड्राइवर है ये बेहतरीन हो गया ये मेरी ये पसली आपसे हिसाब किताब करें। बस ठीक है, उतारो मुझे, उतारो उतारो।
यार अंदर नहीं प्लीज, सब बाहर
ला मुझे क्या
मेंबर बोर्ड
आगे सारे आगे लाना।
पाकिस्तान के लिए
चलो यहाँ से डायरेक्ट इंडिया चलो। मास्क मास्क प्रे 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 डर एंगल दा मास्क करो भाई भाई नीचे उतरो नीचे उतरो नीचे से ले लो बस बस अच्छा ले लो जल्दी लो जल्दी से ले लो इधर से वो लड़के नीचे ऊपर नहीं चढ़ोगे ऊपर नहीं
पाकिस्तानियों की तरफ से अफवाज पाकिस्तान का शुक्रिया अदा करता हूँ। देखिए हमारे जो पाकिस्तान में मिलकर जो लिख रहे हैं वो इसलिए लिख रहे हैं अमन के लिए हमारे
मोबाइल पीछे करो
के अंदर बगैर पाकिस्तान के ऊपर इल्जाम लगाते हो। ठीक है, मैं सिर्फ रिक्वेस्ट ये करूंगा कि हिंदुस्तान इंडिया में मैंने बहुत क्रिकेट खेली है, मुझे हर जगह हिंदुस्तानी बंदा मिलता है। पाकिस्तान में पढ़े लिखे इज्जत वाले अदब वाले लोग हैं, लेकिन मोदी इनको किस तरफ लेके जा रहा है, किस डायरेक्शन में मोदी इनको लेके जा रहा है।
भाई आप नीचे जाओ।
किया कतर में भी बदनाम किया मोदी की वजह से हिंदुस्तानी बंदा बदनाम हुआ, जो मैं समझता हूँ कि गलत है। इंडिया आज तरक्की कर रहा है, तरक्की कामयाबी में हमेशा हम पूछ रहे हैं। हम क्रिकेट आगे बढ़ रही है, हम क्रिकेट की बात करते हैं, लेकिन इसका ये मतलब नहीं अगर कोई दूसरी कौम अपने पाँव पे खुद खड़े होकर आगे बढ़ना चाहती है, आप रुकावटें खड़ी कर देते हो। क्या ये पड़ोसियों के हकूक हैं? आपने हमारे फूल जैसे बच्चों को जो पाकिस्तान का मुस्तकबिल थे उनको शहीद किया है, हमारे सिविलियंस को मारा है। हमने क्या आप किसी एक का सबूत दिखा दो, किसी एक सिविलियन को हमने मारा है? नहीं मारा। लड़ो फिर हमारी फौज के साथ तो पता चलेगा कि लोग कितने तगड़े हो। जिंदाबाद। हमारा ये मुल्क कुर्बानियों से बना है। के लिए हमारे जवानों ने कुर्बानियां दी है। इंशाल्लाह उनकी कुर्बानियां जाया नहीं होंगी। इधर आ जाओ यार। हमारे लेवल पे बात है कि मेरा और आपका बात करना जरूरी नहीं है। आगे पकड़ा रहे यार, आगे पकड़ना खुशी की बात है कि पाकिस्तान ने उसको फेस किया और दुनिया ने देखा। हमारी अफवाज ने कहा था दुनिया देखेगी और दुनिया ने देखा। कमजोर ना समझे, भारत जो है उसकी कैलकुलेशन गलत हो गई। उसको हमारी स्किल्स और हमारी टेक्नोलॉजी जो हमारी आर्म फोर्सेस के पास है इसका अंदाजा नहीं था। अब मेरे ख्याल में बहुत अच्छा अंदाजा हो गया है। फिर मैं बात करूंगा, अमन से चलो, प्यार मोहब्बत के साथ चलो। हिंदुस्तान के लोग पाकिस्तान आना चाहते हैं, पाकिस्तान के लोग हिंदुस्तान आना चाहते हैं। आपस में ताल्लुकात बहाल होने चाहिए। हम तो इस सोच के लोग हैं। आप न टीम भिजवा रहे हो, न खेलना चाह रहे हो। किस सोच, किस माइंडसेट के लोग हो आप लोग? मोदी क्या नफरत फैला रहे हैं हिंदुस्तान के लोगों के अंदर? मोदी अपने फायदे के लिए मुस्लिम कार्ड, हिंदू कार्ड खेलता है। ये उसकी कामयाबी का राज है। और समझ नहीं आता कि ये लोग उसको, जितने भी उसके फॉलोअर्स हैं, अफसोस होता है बहुत सारे हिंदुस्तान के अंदर ऐसे लोग हैं जो पाकिस्तान के साथ प्यार मोहब्बत के साथ चलना चाहते हैं, लेकिन वो आई डोंट नो उस किस माइंडसेट से मोदी पैगाम दुनिया को दे रहे हैं। गलत है एक चीज। मेरा मतलब है, देखो एक बात याद रखना, बहुत पहले मैं मोदी के बारे में कहा था कि ये इंसान का बच्चा नहीं बनेगा, ये शरारतें करेगा, लेकिन इसमें जो अबू है, बड़े अबू, वो इंशाल्लाह मेरे ख्याल में कि उन्होंने इस चीज की बोली है कि अमन होना चाहिए। अमन के लिए हम सारे निकले हुए हैं कि अमन होना चाहिए। और अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह उम्मीद करता हूँ, सोचता पॉजिटिव हूँ, इंशाल्लाह बेहतरी की तरफ चीजें जाएंगी।
उन्होंने फिटिंग जो जवाब दिया हमारी एक्सपेक्टेशन से ज़्यादा इंडिया को ऐसा जवाब मिला है जो वो